Doug MPA back with another live stream. Welcome everybody. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It shows you support me and what I'm doing over here. What we are talking about today is modern women are not having kids because they are too expensive. Now, I can understand that though. Well, I don't have any children, number one, and and s- so let me just say it straight up. The majority of women want children. They say 70 to 80%. So the problem with this issue, let's take men out of this for a second. Okay. Men, we can have children whenever we want. I mean, Al Pacino had his last kid at 82. Robert De Niro had his last kid at 79. But women think that they don't want kids until they do all of a sudden. And that age range is usually between 35 and 45 because the fastest group of single mothers is women between the ages of 32 and 42, guys. These are women who gave their best years to some job that can care less about them. Then they want to be a mother, so they freeze their eggs or go through IVF and all that stuff. But we're focusing on w- women not having children because it's too expensive. Now, I live in the DMV in the DC area, and it is expensive to raise kids here. Between housing costs to be able to house children, um, childcare around here is about 1850 to $2,000 per child. So if you have two or three kids, I mean that's more than your mortgage a lot of the time. The DC area is also a two income um, economy. So how it go? Because I have $800,000 townhomes in my area or like $1 million single family homes. And how that usually works is if there's a married couple, both are professionals, one person's income goes completely towards the mortgage, and then the other person's income goes towards everything else. And that's a trap if I ever heard one, because if anything happens to either spouse, the whole thing caves in on itself. And that's one of the problems with this DC area here. Also, to add to this, I think that and put in the comments or the chat if you would agree with this. Women saying that they don't wanna have kids is part of what, in the red pill space we call copium. There's a lot of copium with women and not wanting kids in their 20s. A lot of women say they don't wanna have kids. "I wanna live my best life. They're too expensive. I wanna focus on me. I wanna focus on my career." But copium only lasts for so long. Okay. All copium does, so all these are copes that women put in place to be able to forego and prolong having to make serious decisions in their lives. Okay. The problem with this cope is that once again, if you haven't committed or completely decided to not having children and you put off this decision, it's only going to make it worse when you hit 35 or 40 and your options to have children could be taken away from you by nature. It's easy to say that you don't want kids while you still can. But if you're 43 years old and your body doesn't work anymore for having children, then you don't have a choice to not have kids. You can't have kids, women. So a lot of these career women, I guys, if you're with a woman who says that she doesn't want kids and you want them, just find a girl who will admit that she wants to have kids. Okay. Don't try to figure out the copium. You know, you should be having children on your schedule, not hers. Okay. And also, guys, if you're 42 years old, like me, I run into a lot of women who want to change all of a sudden. So they spent their first 35 years not wanting kids, and then all of a sudden they want them now. I call them buzzer beaters. Remember in basketball when they want to beat the buzzer, at the buzzer. So I'll go out with a woman between the ages of 32 and 40, and you can just tell by the way that they look at you if they're sizing you up to see if you would be a good father for their children. And the first couple of days, the way they talk, the way they move. And a lot of these women, I always say, which is why this single mother by choice thing is so bad. If you can't get along with an adult, what makes you think that you can raise a child? And a lot of these women are completely and utterly unable to get along with an adult man, but they want to have a kid. No marriage. A lot of them have, what's your longest relationship? A year or less. And they want to have a kid. And then one last piece of this before I get into the first article here, because the first article is going to talk about the cost of having kids in the current day. We're going to break that down first before we get into the first YouTube clip. Um, if these women are navigating like single women, no one's going to stop them. Guys, don't break down any walls. Don't try to convince any women of doing anything. Okay. And one more thing. If uh, a woman who hasn't had a serious relationship and wants to have a child and has that child, if you're the guy that has that child with her, you are in for a world of hurt, guys. A world of hurt. Because a lot of these women, they see no need for a man in their lives except your seed. Run far away, guys. Run far away. If you run into a buzzer beater, ask her, okay, if you see a woman looking you up and down, like they might want you to be a father of their child, ask them things like, what's your longest relationship? Do you want to be married? And if you do want to be married, would you change your last name if you got married? You should have a series of questions to determine if before you sleep with a woman that she just wants a baby out of you and she wants you to slip up. Because all these single mothers are out here, but less than 2% of women get inseminated. So a lot of women, they'll find some dude loose with his seed and get knocked up, and then use the excuse that she didn't know and you're a deadbeat as part of copium of dealing with the fact that she made the decision of being a single mother. Watch out for those buzzer beater guys. So once again, this show is about um, women not having kids because it is too expensive. Now, like I said before, I can understand their viewpoint, but a lot of times women get that baby fever, and there's no stopping them when they decide to have a kid. And most of the time, it's after 35. And if you're that guy, you didn't get to enjoy her when she was young, when she was fertile, when her skin was tight. Everything. You have to deal with her now when she's older, wrinkled, used up. Don't do it, guys. Okay, this first one is called oop, this first one is called, oh, Ken for Julian in the house. Always good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. Yeah, this first one's called How Much Does It Cost to Raise a Child? This is February 13th of 2023. Um, hold on, let me get the sheet right thing back up here. Ah, all right, Ken for Julian in the house. There he is right there. Okay. How much does it cost to raise a child? The cost of raising a child exceeds $250,000 on average. Here's a breakdown of the expected cost for new parents. So we're going to toss some numbers out here so you can visualize why these women are saying they don't want to have kids because it costs too much. It says raising kids, while difficult, is rewarding work. However, it is also incredibly expensive when you sit down and do the math. So this was going off of a study from the USDA 2015. They just adjusted it for inflation. So in 2015, they found that it cost $233,610 to raise a child. Reggie Gamer in the house, thank you for your continued support. I really appreciate it. He says, children are expensive because since we aren't an agrarian society, children are financial liabilities instead of assets. You are 100% correct. It used to be that a boy and a girl, usually around 11 or 12 years old, could start providing value to the farm because they could do things, around the farm and help produce. But nowadays, kids can't really start giving to the household until they're 16 years old. But it used to be, little kids, even could provide value to the farm, but not anymore. So yeah, it went from $233,610, and if you adjust that for inflation in 2023, it is $288,094, and that is without college, my friends. That is without college. So this is a little graphic here. This figure includes costs of food, housing, clothing, school supplies, healthcare. It does not, however, include the cost of attending college. It's important to keep in mind that USDA data was gathered for children born in the year 2015. Due to rising costs and inflation, this number is no longer accurate. Inflation means that a dollar 10 years ago could buy more goods and services than it can today. Since 2015, there has been costs have risen 23.3% on average due to the effects of inflation. This means that the estimated cost of raising a child is 23.3% higher today than it was back in 2015. Gosh, man, you guys. And just remember, I don't have any children, but I do see, I do have friends who are struggling with the costs of uh, of children, particularly childcare, because I live in the DMV in the DC area. It is expensive. Because of course, this is a national average. It should be taken with a grain of salt, as many factors influence how it costs to raise children. The geographical location, that is true, because New York City costs more than Minnesota. I'm in the DMV area. It is expensive here. Childcare, that's a big one. I said it at the beginning of the stream. I'll say it again. It is between $1,850 to $2,000 per child in the DC area for childcare. And that was before COVID. Oh man, I said the C word. Hopefully they don't knock the stream down. Anyway, number of children. I think the average child is, it used to be 2.9 children back when I was born. I don't, maybe 3, but now it's like 1.9 or barely 2. I know a lot of couples who only have one child and are just having one. And the sad part about that is that only child syndrome is real, you guys. Only child is a real thing. I'm a tw- I'm a twin, so when I run into people who are like only children, I can tell if they're an only child a mile away because their mindset is completely different from mine. I had to share everything growing up. And then not only that, think about this. You have these single mothers by choice going through insemination and IVF. Only children are spoiled anyway. But can you imagine a woman who paid 50 grand to have a child? What kind of demon she's gonna raise? Could you imagine? Society is gonna be filled with these little SOBs running amok in about 15 years. So watch your hubcaps, guys. Honestly, you know, the future carjackers of America are raised by single mothers. Reggie Cameron says, another thing is that both parents have to work now, so paying for childcare is necessary. That is 100% true. And actually, if you look at the stats here, the average hourly pay for a woman in 2023 is $17.21 an hour, which is about 38,000 a year, something like that. Let me do the math real quick. Calculator. We are going to do 17.21 times 40 times 4 times 12. Yeah, so about $33,000 a year. In the DC area, that is childcare, you guys. That is childcare. So you have women putting their children in daycare, and they're paying daycare so they can go to work. It washes out. Why do you think so many women, the great resignation, where like 8 million people resigned from their jobs and 80% were women? Guys, don't buy into this myth that women are bosses and making all this money, because they're not. The average, we're looking for the average hourly pay per women is $33,158 a year. The average salary wage of a professional woman in her peak earning years, which is 45 to 54, is $57,000 a year. And that's, so there's the hourly wage and then the salary. So because professional people are on salary. So most women are going to make $57,000 a year or less. 75% of women make less than $70,000 a year. And with childcare being 40,000, you're literally working to pay childcare, and for what? So, number of children, lifestyle choices, sending children to private school versus public school. Okay, how much does raising a child cost yearly? So it's about $16,000 per year or 1,334 per month. So it says how will this cost change in the future? Earlier, it said that inflation for childcare has been between 2.3 to 3% per year, but after the cough here, inflation has increased a lot more than that. Oh yes, no, about 3.8% a year. I apologize for that. So there are two problems with this approach. The cost of raising children varies year to year. Nobody knows what future inflation rates will be, of course. Okay, so this is a breakdown of how much it costs to raise a child. If you have 100%, it's 18% to food, 29% to housing, 15% to transportation, 9% to healthcare, 6% for clothing, 16% for childcare and education, and 7% for miscellaneous. We're going to skim past these real quick, because I don't want to bore you to death. According to USDA data, housing accounts for 29% of the cost associated. Using the inflation adjusted, that's a 1,334 per month figure calculated above. Okay, it says childcare is about 16% of total cost, and this is a national average weekly childcare rate. So in 2019, a child center was $409 a week. So we're going to do 409 times 4. So that's about $1,600 a month. That's the average, you guys. Yikes. That's per child. Ugh. In fact, more than half families spend more than 10,000 on childcare each year. Oh yeah, of course. Transportation costs. So this is gas, plane tickets, larger vehicles. So like that minivan. Healthcare, clothing. So miscellaneous is hobbies, gifts, sports, household. And then, guys, the cost of college. Let's not forget that. The average cost of attending college now is $35,331 per year. Yikes. Gosh. Let's do the math on that. 35,331 times 4. That's, oh God, you guys. 335,331. Oops. 335,331. 35331 times 4. That's $141,324. Anyone here have an extra $141,000 laying around? I know I don't. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Anyway, that means the minimum cost of a 4-year degree. Oh, I'm sorry. This is it's around $37,396 for tuition only at an in-state school. The average cost to obtain a 4-year degree, including including living expenses, is 1,141. They didn't clarify that up here. But yeah, you guys have an extra $141,000 laying around. I don't. That's crazy, man. Holy. By any measure, raising kids is expensive. As of 2022, the average cost is around $288,094 a year, or $16,005 total, and $16,005 per year. So let's get to my first example here of why women are avoiding children because of the cost here. I have this YouTube video, and it is a news story. Give me 1 second here. Oops. Here we go. So this is called Women Foregoing Marriage and Children Getting Richer. Says 44% of Americans won't have children. Let's get into it.
A new article.
Let me know if you guys could hear it okay.
From Bloomberg in the headline says women who stay single and don't have kids are getting richer. Ryan.
I'm shocked. I am shocked.
The subheading, Forging Marriage and Parenthood has a bigger payoff for American women than men, according to new research. I mean, of course, because women typically take more time off when they have children and are more likely to work part-time,
Yes.
not because of the patriarchy. Actually, most women who have children say they prefer some form of part-time work to
You
full-time
can't
work.
disentangle.
Okay. Now she was based on that statement. Of course, John Q. Simp over here has to say the opposite here. But let me tell you, this whole thing where women left their jobs to take care of their children, the responsibility falls upon women. It should fall upon women. You want to know why? Because men work more stressful jobs to make more money. Men don't have this myth of liking a job. We work the jobs that women don't want to work for society and infrastructure, and we don't complain about it. Okay. And also, women have this natural thing that they think that how they raise a child is the right way. And a lot of the time, us men, we're not going to argue with these women. Are you going to argue with the mother of your children about rearing a child? I'm not. I hate when women think that everything they do is right with a child, and anytime a man contributes, she'll nag and yell and scream, and then wonder why he doesn't contribute more. Or I did a video about this lady that left her career to stay home to take care of her 3 kids. Her husband worked so many hours that when he came home, he had nothing left to be able to contribute to the household. She would ask him to do chores or whatever. He's like, "Look, I had a long day. I'm tired. I need to go to sleep." And she recognized that, but she didn't care. She still asked him to do more chores around the house. I'm going to say this one last time, like I say on my channel all the time. Guys, if you are paying the lion's share of the bills and your significant other makes significantly less than you, she has to make up that value somehow. If you make $150,000 a year and she makes 40, and you're paying the majority of the bills, you shouldn't lift a finger when you get home. She has to make up that value somehow. And a lot of professional women are having to figure out the same thing. Ladies, if you make $150,000 a year and the guy you're with makes $40,000 a year, he has to make up that value somehow. There is no, and ask a professional woman who makes $150,000 a year, who's with a guy that works at Foot Locker making $30,000, if it's right that she comes home and has to wash dishes and and vacuum the floor. All these ladies like, girl, you shouldn't have to do anything when you get home. He needs to, he can do everything himself. But there's a double standard on men nowadays. Guys, once again, if a woman is benefiting from your hard work, your finances, you shouldn't have to lift a finger when you get home. I don't care if there are kids or not. And up until about the 80s and the 90s, there was an understanding about this. Let's get back into it.
You know that from the patriarchy, though.
See,
wills are a product of our culture and our superstructure, right?
I actually think it's the opposite. I think, if anything, it's the patriarchy that continues to insist women become cogs in the corporate machine instead of doing what they would prefer. And women
Did you hear that? You go on with your bad self, Emily Shasinski.
have been conditioned since Betty Friedan to believe that there's no value in work that is sort of innately attractive.
Bloomberg's begging the opposite here.
Yes. Yeah. And so women who stay single and don't have kids are getting richer. Now, Ryan, as a parent, this has to be the least surprising news ever.
Kids are extremely expensive. Yes. And that's one reason that I thought the child tax credit was such an important policy. Because, okay, congratulations to the woman who's getting rich, or the man who's getting rich because he's not having kids. And the article talks about how they get to travel a lot more. They get to have a second home in New Jersey. They get to take vacations. All of the people that produce the economic growth that enables that luxurious lifestyle, all the people who are working on the airlines that fly you to your island vacation, the people serving you your drinks, the people cleaning your rooms, all of those people were raised by somebody.
Yeah.
We're all doing that. We're doing that work for you so that there are people out there to take care of you in your luxurious time. So
I don't know if I could agree with that. If you have a high-powered career, particularly if you were a man, we all know that men pay more in taxes than women do. Men put into the system, women extract, especially single mothers. Okay, and a lot of women are finding this out too. Professional women are there are more professional women in infrastructure building jobs than ever, and they're going to be on the pile, just like men, of paying for the infrastructure that pays for a lot of these women who extract from the system. And a lot of these women are in the customer service jobs he's talking about. So get out of here.
That's why I thought the child tax credit was at least a little recognition of that fact. Yes, congratulations that that you're not part of that, and as a result, your bank account looks much fatter. But yes, like the quickest route to poverty is having children. Like that's
You know what? The quickest route to poverty is having kids with the wrong woman and child support, or having a kid with your wife and then she turns on you and you get divorced and you're paying alimony and child support. There's no bigger decision in your life, guys, that you can in your life than picking what woman to have a child with.
that's the tragedy in our country.
Well, and actually where I think it gets even more tragic and gets to the point we were kind of debating a little bit earlier in the segment is that Lyman Stone at the Institute for Family Studies has found American women actually are having less children than they say they want, which is extremely sad. And it's extremely sad when you consider, I think this was Mindy Kaling she was in one of the glossy magazines recently talking about how parents as a gift for their young daughters who I think it was either graduating high school or college should be given egg freezing so that they can focus on their careers in their 20s, which
Holy crap. Did you guys hear that? Holy mess. So parents are giving their daughters who are entering the workforce, Mindy Kaling, awful Mindy Kaling, who wrote that Velma series, man-hating, misandrous Mindy Kaling, said that parents should give their daughters egg freezing for a graduation present so they can focus on their careers and have kids later. Guys, the West is finished. Send the asteroid. It's finished. I'm convinced. I'm convinced. Because this is crazy. This is clown world. And this is women teaching this to women. And the worst part about it is you don't get to have, like, any way that a woman can decide to have a child on her own leads to disaster. Men, you need to have a child on your terms when you're ready. Don't let a woman determine when a child is born, whether you're married or not. You have to decide. You have to be on your terms. Egg freezing as a graduation present. Get out of here. Ugh.
From your perspective, I imagine is a very sad statement on the sort of impossibility of workplaces that make it easier for women to have, for women to work and have fulfilling personal lives in ways that they might want to. And from my perspective, I would say that's incredibly dehumanizing in treating women, again, like cogs in a corporate machine whose purpose in life is best fulfilled by work. And I've been reading a lot of Marx lately, actually, Ryan.
Okay.
But you can go back to a lot of different thinkers and how, especially during the Industrial Revolution, they were reacting to changes in work. But what's your perspective, since I put words in your mouth?
So I like her opinion on women being convinced to be cogs in the machine. Because you see that now. Women give their best lives to some career that can care less. And then they have this epiphany when they're 35. Like, oh my God, I'm working this job. They don't care about me. See, and once again, men, we don't have this illusion that we're going to change the universe. Like we're going to be somebody in our jobs. We don't have this myth that we're going to like our jobs. We're going to love our jobs. Most of us, we just want a mutually beneficial situation. I show up to work. I get paid. I get money to support myself, my wife, and my children. Women have brought this, like, all this fluff to the workplace. More women quit their jobs because they're unfulfilling. Who says you get to have a fulfilling job? Am I speaking crazy here? I don't think I am. Now let's see what Sir Simplot has to say about what she just said?
Well, I mean, and which Marx's gender analysis was not very fleshed out.
It was interesting. Right. It was.
I'd recommend Keynes more when it comes to, because I think you'd appreciate his, the way that Keynes tries to think about the economy in terms of the way that it can serve a robust and healthy society. But in something like the 20s or 30s, he was talking about how once you have enough automation and economic growth, people could be working about 15 hours a week. And there's some interesting studies that say that.
Let me just say this. Have you guys seen that whole thing against a 40-hour work week? There's a whole movement online that's trying to eliminate, well, in the West, that's trying to eliminate the 40-hour work week. And I can tell you, that's only a thing in the West. You don't see, you don't see other countries talking about getting rid of the 40-hour work week. You still see articles in other countries about burning out and people working too many hours. And it's like people working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And we're talking about getting rid of a 40-hour work week. This is crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. If you combine life expectancy, the growth in life expectancy, which has since recently reversed, with the extra amount of retirement that people have, coupled with the kind of extended adolescence, in 150 years ago, people started hitting the factories by the time they're 10, 11, 12.
Extended adolescence. When are we going to beat the double standard on, a man is judged as a little boy and failure to launch if he doesn't want to get married and have kids. But a woman can live her best life in her 20s and not get judged for it. That is a double standard that needs to go. If a man doesn't want to take on responsibility when he's young, if ever, he should not be shamed. Men have this Peter Pan syndrome, they call it, but women aren't shamed for that. We need to start shaming women for that. I'm hoping, or not at all. It's either both have to get shamed for it or none. I prefer neither one, but that's not going to happen because women are still going to shame men for not marrying them and not having kids with them or taking on the kids they already have.
Yeah.
Now, often you're pushing that deep into your 20s. And so if you combine that, let's call it leisure, with the retirement leisure and add it all together, actually a lot of people are working an average of, say, 15, 20 hours a week over their entire lifetimes. But the mistake that we make is then we jam it all onto people when they're also, in a place where they're starting to create families, and it's and they're completely sleep deprived.
No, and it's interesting because actually I wasn't even referring to Marx's work on gender or sex, but more his work on alienation and labor in general, and the way we're conditioned to work post-industrial revolution and in post-industrial world. It happened really quickly. And in the United States, I mean, listen, I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I think it's great that women have those freedoms. And there are a lot of people who I wouldn't agree with, who I absolutely owe a debt of gratitude to for fighting for that. There's no question about it. That doesn't mean that, I think every part of it was good, or that we fully thought through all of the ways women might be fulfilled differently.
Right. 100%. Because the problem is, if you're a woman and you want to get married and have kids, you want to be a housewife, you want to work at Target part-time, you will be shamed by other women. And the thing about it is I always, whenever I'm looking at a task or something I want to do, in my head, I make a T-chart. Remember those T-charts back in school, where and I have a have to and want to. And I try and figure out everything I want to do first, and then what I have to do first and get that done, and then focus on what I want to. Women approach professional work with a want to attitude, not a have to attitude, because men have the masculine burden of performance. We have to succeed. We have to achieve. We have to build resources. Women know in the back of their minds that they don't have to do it, so they want to. And that's why women work on possibility. Why do you think I did a video on women? 62% of women think that they can do their jobs better than their boss. Not because they actually can. They want the opportunity to try to do the job better. But let's say a woman thinks, oh yeah, I can do my boss's job better, and we put her in that job and it's too stressful. Well, she'll just leave, or she'll just duck out instead of sticking to the decision she made. And that's the difference between men and women. Naomi is in the house. You are a treasure and a jewel, Naomi. Naomi, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Let's get back into what this lady's saying.
His point is profound and correct, that when you're exploited for your labor, that your soul is alienated by that.
And who's more likely to feel like they'll be exploited for their labor, men or women? Women, exactly.
And it starts to rip society apart.
And Mindy Kaling is just asking more women then, and this would be my opposition to it. It's just prioritizing that soul-ripping exploitation over something that's, I think, very clearly much more human and much more fulfilling. So, these are deep issues, but I'm actually glad there's more conversation about them, because I think the rapid advancements in technology, not just in the past 10 years, but in the past 200 years, and you can even go further back than that, have really changed the way we live very quickly. And it's worth pausing and just kind of thinking about things.
Yeah, for sure. And Zach Carter's Keynes biography is the place to go for that one. You'll love it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's called The Price of Peace.
I remember we were talking about.
Okay. And for those who missed it, this is for Naomi. The girl in the glasses said that Mindy Kaling said that for college graduation, parents should give their daughters egg freezing so they can focus on their careers and have children later. Isn't that crazy town? Well, that's for those who are just joining us. So that was the first YouTube clip. And if you're watching this after the fact, put in the comment section what you think about this. Because I hear stuff like this, man, and it really makes me sad, because women are having to F around and find out. Too many women are giving their best years to some job and then waking up in their 30s and wanting to do a course correction. But that course correction, it doesn't depend on you, ladies. It depends on men, not you. We determine who our girlfriends, fiancés, and wives are. And any man who's smart will determine when he's going to give his seed to a woman to have a child. The undeniable reality of a woman needing a man's seed that hasn't left us yet. It's just crazy town, man. This type of stuff. It's just depressing. So you guys are going to love this next one. This next article is called, you guys ready for this? Look at this headline. You guys ready? How to lose money if you're a working woman. Have kids. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. By Monica Nicholsberg. Oh my goodness. So we already know what this article is all about, but let's get into it anyway. So you're going to hear all about the pay gap, and you're going to hear about emotional labor. You're going to hear about all these buzzwords that women, that women use to appeal to society emotionally, to try to put systems in place to make their lives easier that don't benefit men. Pyro Fenton, welcome. I really appreciate it. We are talking about women who don't want to have kids because they are too expensive. Says working women stand to lose hundreds of thousands over the course of their careers compared to their male counterparts. The median salary gap between men and women is particularly dramatic in Washington State. Hey, I'm from Washington State. Oh, chill vibes. Do not change your name unless you run it by us first. We have to sign the forms before you can change your name. Okay, so make sure that you send them to us. You can get multiple signatures. Good to see you, my friend. Naomi says, but having a baby is one of the most amazing experiences. You can't put a price on having a baby. I think women don't have to put a price on it because there's such a social safety net, but men have to because we have to be the providers. So it says, There are several complex factors driving the wedge between earning potential. The biggest one is motherhood. Now, what do I tell you about when you see the term gap used by a woman? What does that mean? Anyone? 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 It means you're not supposed to look at the logical reasons why there's a difference between A and B. It's a purely emotional appeal. Throw the reasons as to why that gap is there. Throw the logical reasons as to why that gap is there. That's what a gap means. So if there's an achievement gap between men and women, a salary gap between men and women, a gap between men and women in STEM fields, they don't want you to do any research and look into it. Watch out for that word gap, you guys. And women will put that term gap on anything that doesn't benefit them. Anything where they're not ahead, there's a gap. Sonia Delane, a former senior software engineer at Amazon, chased her toddler around a North Seattle playground on a sunny morning in May. Delane left her job to spend the first 18 months with her daughter, but when it came time to consider childcare, Delane just couldn't do it, even though she loved her job at Amazon. Now, guys, I'm from the Seattle area. I can tell you, Seattle went from zero to too expensive in about 8 years. Amazon bought that whole place up. It is expensive. I went back one day to hang out with some friends, and they were telling me how much rent and how much buying homes. I was like, how did that happen? Yeah, in about 8 years, it went from 0 to 60 in like 2.5 seconds. Said every time we would go and tour a daycare, I would just start crying. She said, Delane discussed it with her husband, who also worked for Amazon. They decided she would take a 3-year break from her career to care for their daughter. At least she's married. Give her a round of applause for that. That is good to see. They waited to be married and have children. Good job, Sonia Delane. Great job with that. And in Seattle, well, she worked for Amazon, so she probably makes 80 to 85, 90,000. But 30,000 of that would have been childcare. So it's going to be really interesting when I decide to go back. She said, do I get to go back as a senior, or do I have to take a step back? I have a lot of imposter syndrome around that. And I hope she doesn't have the expectation that the industry is going to wait for her. I've seen countries in Scandinavia and in Europe where women can take a full year off their job for their newborn child and keep their job. That's crazy to me. How? How does that work? How? She's also aware that the ability to take a step back is a privilege many parents don't have. Still, her decision could have a significant impact on her lifetime earnings. Each year out of the workforce can cost 3 to 4 times a woman's annual salary. Center for American Progress, a left-leaning think tank, we're going to avoid that like the plague. That estimate combines the actual lost wages, lost salary growth over time, and lost retirement wages. This is one way that becoming a mother contributes to the gender pay gap. There's that term again. Some argue Dylan's situation is not evidence of discrimination. It's just the result of different choices and preferences. And that's 100% true. 100%. You decide to have that child. Women have this deep down innate need and you should want to take care of your child over someone else doing it. I don't understand where this whole, oh yeah, poor women have all this thrust upon themselves. Women have that child grow inside them for 9 months. You should be possessive of something like that. So that might be true if becoming a parent had the same impact on salaries for men and women, but men's salaries tend to go up when they become fathers. Anyone want to wonder why that happens? Anyone? 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 It's because even when a pregnancy happens in a marriage or in a constructive couples situation, men work more hours, women work less. Men have to shoulder the responsibility of providing for a family. And here's the thing. Modern women are putting themselves in a position to be providers, but they don't want to provide for a man. They don't want to provide for a family, and they will hold out to find a man who makes more money than them and can support a family. So a lot of women, even if they're professionals, they will not put themselves in a position of of the stress of providing for a family because they know how hard it is. Let's give credit to those guys who are breaking their back. So society was built off the backs, the souls of men who gave their physical, mental health to provide for their families, their kids, their community. And women don't want that smoke, man. They don't want it. They talk a big game. That's why my last live stream, for every one C-suite, like CEO, CFO, COO, that quits their job, that's a man, 2 quit that are a woman. So when you get to the top of leadership, women are twice as likely to walk away from their jobs as men. Women don't want that smoke, guys. They don't want it. They want to get there, try it out, and then duck out. The median salary for fathers was 15% higher than mothers in 2022. Fathers also earn more than women without children, a phenomenon sometimes referred to as the breadwinner bonus. Linda Conway is a hardware engineering manager working for a semiconductor. Although she doesn't have kids herself, she saw at a previous company how bias can hold mothers back from opportunities. I was in a room with the boss at one point and we were discussing projects to give to different employees. He said, I don't know about giving this one employee this project because it could be a really big deal. And she has kids. She might need to go home at 5 when it needs to run late. I don't know if we can count on her. What is wrong with that statement? What's wrong with that statement? Women take more sick leave, more vacation, and this is with or without children. The men hold up the productivity of most offices, unless it's the HR department, because that's completely women. Kinford, let's just talk about New York as the bottomless pit. I agree with 100%. Chill Vibe says they provide for themselves. That 100%. Reggie Gamer says the double-edged sword is that a man cannot be the stay-at-home parent as a mother doesn't want to be the main earner and look down on the stay-at-home father. You are 100% correct. You are 100% correct. And who's more likely to treat their stay-at-home parent better, a man or a woman? You think a stay-at-home dad is going to let his wife come home and have a honey-do list? It ain't happening. You think a woman who's the sole provider is going to be like, oh, ladies, I can't go to brunch today. No. Before I go to brunch today, I have to ask the boss if it's okay for me to go with you to brunch. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Says, Conway said that she is flabbergasted. It wasn't an isolated incident. Asked whether she'd ever seen a father pass over for opportunities. She said, no, that was part of my frustration. Once again, fathers don't take off work. Conway said she wouldn't have been able to rise to the senior role she has now if she hadn't had children, because she could stay and do the long hours. And you can find articles about how women who don't have children say it's not fair that they have to stay after when the women who have children have to call out or leave early because they have to pick up their kids. But the sisterhood is clouding their vision and their judgment on this. Bias is one reason mothers can end up in the salary so lane. Another is the decision women make in response to their outsized caregiving responsibilities at home. Mothers often self-sort into less demanding and lower paying jobs because they need the flexibility. Once again, men value money, promotional opportunities. Women value workplace flexibility. And what are our favorite 3 terms? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, flexibility and DEI doesn't get you paid more money, ladies. Take Delane, the software engineer, taking 3 years away from her career as a software engineer to care for her daughter. After 21 months, she started to miss work. My brain is craving a little bit more the problem solving, the interaction with adults. But she doesn't want to miss out on this time with her child. Your children are only young once. And I've met women who had children and went right back to work. And then they missed their children's first word. They missed when their children first started walking. They missed all that. And you can never get that time back. Ever. Says, I don't understand how we can't figure out something that would work for everyone, right? You know what? Because life is not fair. That's why we can't figure that out. Like how there can't be more flexibility where we can do a little bit more of both. That vision of a workforce that's more supportive of new parents could become a reality thanks to an unexpected cultural shift in recent years. Um, they talk about, in many ways, the pandemic was brutal for mothers, but has turned into a surprising equalizer for working women long term. In surveys, mothers say the ability to work remote is a game changer. So as of March, more than 75% of mothers were participating in the labor workforce. That's the highest percentage in years. As flexible work becomes more common, moms may not have to pay the same salary penalty that they used to. Then they talk about the gender pay gap. Scandinavians are pushing public policies to support women working at home. Many countries give women caregiver credits to make up for lost retirement savings when they step out of the workforce. This is all crazy town to me, dude. At minimum, places with smaller pay gaps have paid family leave and anti-discrimination laws. Patty Murray, we're not going to talk about her. We know there's a pay gap today. Oh, yeah. Okay, Patty, whatever. Yet Washington State still has one of the widest pay gaps in the country. Women in the workforce face another big obstacle when they have kids. Their salaries take a hit when they take time off to care for children. The extra caregiving responsibilities they have at home can mean that they don't pursue more demanding and better paying leadership roles. There's no solution to these challenges, but that doesn't mean they're impossible to solve. It just requires a set of solutions as broad and nuanced as the problem itself. Cry me a river. Once again, let's give credit to the men who are on the roofs, who are in the sewers, who are fixing your cars, who are laying the concrete, who are working 100 hours a week, doing the stuff that women would never do, supporting their families and not complaining about it. They don't get the luxury of workplace flexibility. They have to go out in the cold, the rain, the sleet, the snow, lay the concrete, plow the plows, plow the snow, harvest your food, drive the trucks, and even shout out to the male engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. I had a friend who has an Ivy League programming degree, and most of his department in Seattle is still men. And these guys stick in their cubicles all day and work 60, 70, 80 hours a week coding, for Christ, programming. You know how monotonous programming is? I know a couple of women that tried programming, software engineering, and after a couple of years ducked out because it was so monotonous. Reggie Gamer says, companies would grind to a halt if every worker had the flexibility that these mothers want. Companies survive on extracting the most workers from their employees. They aren't charities. That is 100% true. What is the age-old business model? Make the most amount of employees work the most amount of hours for the least amount of pay. And women, they have brought to the workplace, it's like they've forgotten this somehow. They brought the expectation and the entitlement that women that women shouldn't have to suffer from this formula. How dare they have a bunch of women in a job that anyone can work, i.e. social work, counseling, customer service, and work us a bunch of hours for no pay? How dare they? There's a pay gap. This is a tale as old as time. That's how businesses make their money. That's why our shoes are made where they're made. Our iPhones are made where they're made. Certain cars are made where they're made. Come on now. I have so once again, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I'd really, really, really appreciate it. And let me see, and let me know what you guys think about, how much of a free market capitalist are you? Because I don't understand how. I think in current America, you see a lot of people that just deny that capitalism is a thing. Like I said, we're women. Why are they working less a bunch of hours for no pay? It's how it's always been. You know, the free market reigns in America. And that girl in the last video, whoa, I've been reading a lot of Marx. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Oh my goodness. So I am going to drop the link because I have um, a video. It's kind of long here, but it's from one of my least favorite channels. It's Fox Houston, and this freaking like this Isaiah Carey is your stereotypical simp misandrist. Anything that's on Isaiah Factor Uncensored, he's gonna crap all over men, and he has women on there. It's nonstop misandry. So I'm gonna drop the link for anyone who wants to come in and have an opinion on him talking to all these women about why they don't want to have kids. So if you'd like to come up, please do, and we can review this video together. Let's go. AJ's rants and raves in the house. Let's go. He says, let's go. Any employees are supposed to get the most amount of money for the least amount. No, employers are supposed to get the most amount of money for the least amount of work, and vice versa. This is not hard. And then Chill Vibe says, "Oh man, don't let me cringe, man. I'm not in the mood for that man-hating stuff." Yeah, but it applies to the topic. So once again, if you want to come up and we can go through this video together, because he talks to a panel of 4 women. It gets kind of cringe, but you know what? It's contributing to the subject matter. So let me hit the let me pin this to the top real quick. Pin to top. Pin message. Okay. If you want to come up while we're reviewing this video, let me know. Just hit the button. And let's get into our favorite misandrist, Isaiah Carey.
Now it's time for the grown women to talk. Believe it or not, more and more American women are now saying they don't want to have children. A recent Pew Center survey of 3,800 American women was done. It shows of that group, 44% of the non-parents said it's not too likely or not likely at all that they'll have kids someday. That's up by 7% from the original group surveyed.
Okay. And once again, 80% of women want to have kids. But the copium is real. Copium is all the excuses that women use, like I said at the beginning of the stream, all the things that women use to push back making life decisions until they're older. I don't want to have kids. What are some of the other ones? All your stereotypical feminist talking points. It's garbage. Chill Vibe says, "I wish I had something to say, but I'm not. I got nothing right now." AJ says, "These love communism until there are mile-long bread lines." You got that 100%. AJ says, "That is such BS. They say that until Giga Chad shoots up the club." Yeah, that's 100% true. Get into it.
Now, tonight we explore the question with our panel of women.
Mitch, let's bring you into this conversation. Where do you stand? Are you in desperate need or want of children, or you're like, I don't give a
Well, yeah, I'm on team don't give a I made it all the way to 51 for the turn 52. And
She's 51 years old, dude. She's talking about, I don't want kids. She can't have them. But at least she stuck to her guns, man. She stuck to her guns. Because like I said before at the beginning of the stream, it's easy to say that you don't want kids until time takes that option away. So good for sticking to your guns, old lady.
most I have invested right here. See it? There it is. All right. So seriously, I don't have kids. And I tell people all the time, there was nothing ticking. There were no clocks. Uterus wasn't calling me in the middle of the night. Like, that is so not my reality. And ironically, Isaiah, I look around and most of my friends are just like me. We don't have kids. No one was like, oh my God, it's my biggest regret. Nobody ever went there. So my life decision, I am totally happy with.
And Miss, you've heard some women say, I don't feel complete without having a child. So how do you get past that?
AJ said she sounded like she's been gargling with Newports. And Chill Vibe says, you beat me to it. I bet she cries herself to sleep. You best believe. And she's 51, man. Some women can hold out this long, but it could take till 55, 58, 60 before they realize, dang, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. The copium is real.
Is that even a thought or feeling that you have?
It's not on my radar. First of all, this really is about upbringing, family values, what you're hearing from society, pressure. Do you succumb to that kind of stuff? I don't. Happiness for me is peace of mind when I lay down at night, bills are paid. I got my back covered, you know what I'm saying? Roof over my head, belly is definitely well fed. I don't need to be a mom to feel complete. Would having had children been nice? Sure. But I didn't, and it didn't crumble my spirit or my attitude.
Wait, so let's analyze that for a second. She said, would having kids been nice? Sure. Okay, if she was so confident in saying that, and not having kids, she never would have said that. So I just think that the copium is strong with her, but there's going to be a time. So in the next couple of years, remember the name, Mish Gilori. You're going to see her write an article saying, this is to all the women who couldn't be mothers. It's not fair that women, have to grow up in a society where, we can't have kids because blah, blah. Just wait. I'm telling you, you're going to see it. Remember the name, Mish Galore. Okay.
Really enjoy my life.
And you said, would having children have been nice? Any regrets whatsoever?
No, I ask myself that about once every year. And I stop and I pause. You kind of say self goes, And you say self, are we regretting anything? And self goes, no, we're good. And I'm done. That's about as far as I get with it. And I've done this self check for years. And I'm just like, is something wrong with me because I don't have the regrets? I just don't.
See, men that decide to not have kids, we never have this thought process. We commit to it 100%. No regrets. Because I told you guys, women reserve the right to change their mind at any given time. If you're dating a woman who's 50-50 and let's say a child is born or something happens in her life, she can say, hey, you know what? You need to work more so you can cover 80%. Or you know what? I should be able to quit my job so you can cover 100%. Women reserve the right to change their minds whenever they want about whatever they want. And society enables this behavior, guys.
There are enough children in the world, loved and unloved. And if I should ever turn around and say, you know what, I got a lot to share, I have a lot to give, I've made more than enough money, then God bless me and let me adopt a child. You know what I'm saying?
Can I talk? Okay, I keep stopping this, but I knew this was going to happen because first off, it's Isaiah, whatever the heck this guy's name is, and then I hate to say it, but there's a whole lot of black women on this panel, so I knew that I was going to say something. I knew I was going to say a lot about this. Okay, I know a lot of women that just say I can adopt or we can adopt. How did women become okay with raising a child that's not genetically theirs? Okay, because men, we are not okay with it. We're just not. We are not okay with raising, even through adoption. And I'm starting to think this is unpopular opinion, but if you're with a woman, okay, put this in the chat, guys. Let's say you were to marry a woman, and they say, "Oh, let's have kids." So you're trying and trying and trying, and you can't have kids because of her, not you. Would you rather adopt the child or find another woman? Is not having kids, a woman's not ability to have kids if the man intently said he wanted to have kids and she can't have them. Even and let's say that she didn't even get a fertility check before that they got married. Because it's getting to the point now, especially if you're a guy and you're in your 30s and you marry a woman in your 30s, before you get married, she should go to a freaking OBGYN and make sure, well, both of you should make sure that your stuff is good. Because I am like, this expectation that a man will just, to me, adopting a child as a man is pretty much the same as marrying a single mother and adopting her child. It's not your seed, guys. It's not. So much cap. Ugh. AJ says, AJ says, if the last girl, if she was so serious, she would need to self-check. That is true. Naomi said that she would adopt or she would foster. But Naomi, like, how would you deal with the fact that that child's not genetically yours? No. And you have two children who are yours. No. Chill Vibe says, yeah, it don't feel right in my opinion, but that's just me. And I think that not enough men, like men can't say anything about this at all. They just can't. But women are just on this copium. Well, we can adopt, but what about the ramifications? And you see what happens with adopted children. Adopted children have so many other problems. Do you guys remember that story where that guy married the single mom and he raised the daughter and she was gonna get married and he wanted to pay for the wedding, but she wanted her biological father to who wasn't involved in her life to walk her down the aisle? That's what you get when you take on kids who aren't genetically yours. No. AJ says, I would leave the broad. AJ pulls no punches, man. Naomi says, well, what if he can't have children? Both should. Now, if he can't, but that's kind of a rare occurrence. She said, Naomi says, I would adopt even after having my own children. But once again, you're still looking for a man who can provide for you and your children. And that man, like most men, I'd say 85 to 90% of men don't want to take care of men who aren't, of women who, of children who aren't genetically theirs. And they shouldn't have to. Because of love. What love got to do with it? Nothing. We just went over it. Raising a child in 2023 will cost you $288,000. College on average, if the kid does room and board, will cost you $144,000 for a bachelor's degree. I'm not putting that money into a child who's not mine. Forget it. I think it's a lot to be a foster or adoptive parent. Yeah, that's why you avoid it at all costs. AJ says people deserve to have their own biological kids, men and women. I agree 100%. Naomi says, but if I get together with a man with a child, then I told you this is 2023. If you're a woman, don't deal with a child from another woman, and if you're a man, don't deal with another man's child. Equally. There you go. Why would you do it? Kids cost now more than ever, and then there's more of a chance for a child who wasn't yours to act up, say, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. Even if you adopt the child, they can say this to you. No. Heck no. Nope.
And Jess, let's hear from you. You're a parent, and obviously you have children. Did you feel like you wanted children? You needed children? What, are they listening?
I thought you were saying.
Yeah, mom wanted you.
Stay in their room. Stay in y'all's room. No, I had children very young. So, first of all, I'll say whoever doesn't want to have children, leave these people the hell alone. I completely understand. Now, if I would have had it my way,
I wonder if she would say that if a guy said probably get all upset and say, "How dare you not want to date me because I have kids? A real man would take care of my kids." The fuck? Sorry, I'm all cussing. Get out of here, man. I guarantee you, she is a double standard for men. She probably has her online dating profile saying, my kids are my world. My kids are my first priority. Any man that's going to get with me needs to understand that. And she shames men who don't have any kids who don't want to date her because she has them. I guarantee it. Tell me I'm wrong.
Had I knew then what I knew now, I would have definitely waited. But I feel like if I would have been doing the things that I'm doing now, and then now deciding to have kids, I may have decided not to, not because I didn't want them or because I don't love my children, but I just feel like I wouldn't be able to give them what they need. So I am grateful that my kids are the age that they are now so that I can do the things that I'm doing. But if God would have waited on that for me, I don't know if that would have ever came to pass. But I do know that mother was a title that God had for me. So I don't take anything back. I'm grateful for the way that it was. But I stand in agreement with these ladies. If they don't want kids, don't have them, because there are many kids out here that are unloved. They're in houses and they're unloved. So if you don't want them, don't have them.
I wonder if wife was a term that God wanted to put on her. I wish she'd hold her hands up so we can see if she has a wedding ring. And there's a 78% chance. Is she black? She looks mixed, doesn't she? Well, there's over a 50% chance that she's a single mom, and she's a teenage mom too. So once again, she's probably more concerned with being a mother than being a wife. Chill Vibe says, "You don't want the kids to scream, 'You're not my dad,' 100%. Naomi says, I have adults saying worse to me on podcasts. If they are a child, I can objectively not take offense to a child. I do get passionate about this type of stuff. That's 100% true." And then Chill Vibe says, "Stop dating people with kids, full stop." I agree with you 100%.
Desiree, I saw you amening there. Your thoughts about having kids?
I do not want kids whatsoever. Like, I team no kids. Can I cuss?
Go ahead and give me what you got for a poke job.
I'm team kids. At the end of the day, no kids. I do not want.
She says, "F them kids." What's the sad part about it? Once again, 80% of women want children. So that's over 3 out of 4. So of all these women, someone's capping. I guarantee you, she's going to end up having kids, and she's probably going to be a single mom. I guarantee it.
Want children at all. I up until a certain point, I want to say 3rd grade, I thought every woman had to be a mother. And then I had a writing teacher who was in her late 40s, early 50s, I believe. And she was like, "Oh, I'm not married. I don't have any kids." And I was like, "Wait, hold on. That's an option, not to have kids?" Mm-hmm. And she was like, "If you don't want kids, you don't have to have kids." I was like, "Oh, I thought I was going to have kids. I don't want it. And now I'm being told I don't have to have kids."
No, who told you initially that you had to have kids? Where'd you get that from?
I felt like growing up in my family, seeing how everybody is, I feel like it was an obligation as a woman to have children.
See, and women, they say, I feel like that was pushed. Okay, this is another example. I'm glad he asked that, because women would say, well, they want me to have kids. Who's they? When someone starts tossing around the term they or society, ask them who that is. Who is it? Who's forcing this upon you? Who's telling you that you need to do this? Who's telling you you need to have a career? Who's telling you be a mother is bad? Who's telling you these things?
And at that point, that's how I saw oh, you're a woman, you have to have kids. Even if you don't want them, you still have to have kids. But then that moment for me was you don't have to have kids. You can live your life kid free. And I was like, "Oh, Jesus, is this you?" Is this you?
Uh-oh, you see the tattoos on her forearms? Uh-oh.
And I've seen that from young ladies that I mentor. They're like, "Miss Guillory, you don't have kids?" I'm like, "No." And they literally say the same thing that Desiree said. That's an option? Seems to be a surprise to a lot of young ladies.
Yeah, I guess it's
What's going to surprise them is, once again, the copium has women in their 20s saying they don't want kids, and then they wait until the they don't want to have kids and are choosing not to have kids until father time takes away that option. And women get all upset when they go from choosing not to have kids to my body can't have kids. It's just sad.
The pressures, like you said, Mish, for some from society. Now, Desiree, what's unappealing to you about being a mother and having children?
I can't live my best life if I have kids, honestly.
There it is. There it is. There it is. You hear that? I can't live my best life. She's going to be a Travelicia. Shout out to Fawn Alexi and Black White Podcast. She's going to have, she's going to make all the pitfalls that these professional women do. I'm telling you, man, it's scripted at this point. She's going to say, I can't travel. I got to have my own space. I can't trust men, blah, blah, blah. Just watch.
Some people say I'm being selfish, but I don't see it as being selfish because once you become a mother, you have to give so much of yourself and so much of your time to said child or children that, yeah, you have all the stuff you're working on, but you have to make sure your kids are good first. And everything else takes a backseat. And then some people are like, oh, after 18, they're good. No, you're a mother until one of y'all dies. It's not until no 18 years. Until one of y'all go home to Jesus. Oh my God.
No. Desiree, have you made up your mind too early? You're in your 20s now.
I'm 27, gonna be 28 in June. I've been saying I don't want kids for a long. Just can tell you, isn't that right, cousin? I don't want no kids.
So she's 27 saying all this. The copium during a woman's 20s is serious business, guys.
Well, there's more to this hot conversation coming your way in just a moment. Keep it right here on The Factor Uncensored. We'll be right back. Should we pick up where we...
Okay, what do you guys think about this so far? It's actually not as bad as this Isaiah guy's normal stuff. Because most of the time, watching any clips of his makes me want to pick up my monitor and throw it through the window. He's a misandrous, man-hating piece of garbage. But, he has mostly women, particularly black women, watching his show. He's on a scale of 0 to Steve Harvey, he's about a 6 or a 7.
Just left off with our panel of women, half saying having children is important while the others say they can do without. Let's dive back into the conversation with the ladies, child or not.
Let's bring in Layla now. Layla, your thoughts. You're in your 30s and you want children.
Yes, I absolutely.
She's in her 30s and she wants children. So I guarantee you she's about 35, 36 years old. Buzzer beaters, guys. Telling you, women that want to slide that kid in before geriatric pregnancy hits. So she's going to be a single mom. I guarantee it, dude. I guarantee it. Unless she says she's married. We don't know if she's married or not. But if she's a single woman, she's going to be a single mother. I guarantee it. Because she wants a kid before she wants a man and she wants marriage.
Really do. I feel like, how the ladies spoke about they didn't have that urge or that feeling. Well, I've always had that urge and feeling of having a child one day.
Well, then why'd she wait until her 30s then? Why?
And it's because of look, they used to nickname me in middle school Mama Layla, okay? I'm the nurturer. I try to take care of everybody. I'm a pet mom. I'm a dog mom myself with 4 of them. So
there it is, dude. There it is. I'm a dog mom. Guys, avoid women who say that their dog and cat moms are like the plague. Avoid them. You hear a woman saying that, you see an online dating profile with that, run the other way. Run the other way. And she has 4 dogs, and I guarantee you they're big dogs. What are dogs to women like these? Dogs are pacifiers for women because it gives them something to nurture besides having to do the work to be able to figure out how to have a productive relationship with a man. You see women, if you're going to be with me, you must love my dogs. Guys, Dog moms, cat moms, run away. Red flag, run.
For me, it's just like I would like to have a mini me. And there are times that I wish I would have had kids at a younger age, like Jess did, because her children are amazing. I mean, I'm speaking on your kids, Jess, but they are amazing and at a great age. And now my ass thinking about having a kid, I'm gonna have a toddler at 40, and my friends got grown.
Yeah, so she's like 37, 38 years old, guys. 38. 37, 38 years old. I guarantee it, dude. I called it.
Kids out in college. But there was one thing that really I didn't like that the lady on TikTok said, because she made it seem like you can't live your best life because you have a kid. But
And
that
really
has
quick,
been
let people know there was a woman on TikTok who talked about not having kids and enjoying life. And so many of you saw that video. And go back to your point now, Layla.
Yes. Well, there were a few things that she said. I love the fact that she wasn't against anyone having them and not wanting to have them. But there were key points that made it seem as if you have a kid, you can't travel. You have a kid, you can't live abroad. You have kids, you can't have money. And TikTok and social media has really shown that there are families that do all of that together as a unit, and it is very possible.
And those families have a mother and a father. You can't do that as a single mom by yourself. And that's my problem. There's this myth that you can travel, like you can do everything that you can do as a single woman with a child. And it's not happening. It's not.
Yeah, I lived my life and I was able to backpack through Europe and travel the world without a kid. But who says I don't want to do that with my little kid?
And who cares? Who cares? How does that benefit you as a parent, and how does that benefit you as a wife to a man? It doesn't.
Little mini me. I would love to have that opportunity. So I just don't think it's fair for some people to make it seem like not having a kid will give them all the glory to the world, when whatever you put your mind to and whatever you want to do, you could do with or without kids. Right. So for me, I can't wait to get married one day and have my little bundle of joy.
Late 30s, guys. I can't wait to get married, and I can't wait to have children. Now, she did all what? How does she think that that's going to happen? How does she think that prioritizing herself, traveling around the world, prioritizing her job, what makes her think that she can secure marriage in her late 30s? This is modern women, guys. She spent all of the years, like I said at the beginning of the stream, when she was young, in shape, fertile, enthusiastic, no trauma, alone, by herself. Now a man doesn't even get to enjoy that with this woman. He has to marry this woman, have kids with her, deal with her bad attitude, deal with her freaking weight, deal with her trauma. No, guys. This is a buzzer beater. And she's not going to be able to get married. So she's going to find a guy like you, if you don't have any kids, and try to get you to slip up, because that's what buzzer beaters do. And one of the signs of a buzzer beater, remember, a buzzer beater is a woman who wants to slide in a kid real quick before they smash through the wall of geriatric pregnancy, and they're looking for you to be loose with their seed so they can get a kid real quick. Okay. The number one sign is a woman like her, and she seems really, really masculine, but she wants to rush into bed real fast, and she doesn't want you to use protection. I've had this happen to me actually many times here in the DMV area. Don't do it, guys. Don't fall for it. What is Greg Adams has that soundbite, and that's you. Be careful, guys. Buzzer beaters are out there looking for you.
Now, Layla, what if you run into a husband who says, we're both in our 30s now, about to hit 40. I think it's time out for kids. What would you tell him if he saved that for a later conversation, after you're already married, after you already have that relationship?
Oh, Isaiah, that would not happen. That conversation is date one, okay? That is not going to wait until after marriage.
Sis said we get in quickly.
Not day one, Layla, but soon, early.
Well,
Third date, Layla.
I would like to ask if you're interested in kids, because that's a real life thing.
Right.
At a later age in my life, I have to expect to date a man who already has kids, and that's the reality of it. So some
Is that a
people,
turnoff for you, or that's reality?
if you would have asked me a few years ago, hell yes, but now no.
There it is. The wall always gets women to change their dating standards, guys. Age. The wall is undefeated. She's changing her standards already. So I guarantee you, she wanted a guy who's 6 foot tall. Now she's fine with the guy who's 5'9". She wanted a guy making $150,000 a year. Now she's fine with a guy making 65. I guarantee it. She should say, I'm trying to find a guy with no kids, and she had to change on that. Women only change their standards when women find out that father time is taking their options away from them.
I don't mind being a stepmom. I have a lot of love to give, but I mean, I just
She's a radio and podcast host. She's done for, dude. She's done for. She's done for. That means she has a personality that makes her impossible. She's done for. She's gonna be a single mom. She's gonna find a Pookie or a Ray Ray that already has 3 kids by 3 different women, and she's gonna be baby mama number 4.
just want at least one. I'm not asking for much, but I also believe in adoption as well. So if I could be out here like Angelina Jolie traveling the world with my kids from different villages, I'm gonna do it.
These women with adoption, man. Oh my goodness. Ah, I can't.
You didn't go Jolie on us.
A recent study shows more women are opting out of motherhood, and they're fine with that. We brought together a group of women who are split over the issue. Let's get back to that conversation with our guests, Layla, Mish, Jess, and Desiree.
And once again, this is going really, really well. This isn't your typical misandrous garbage from Isaiah. His last name Carey, Isaiah Carey. So this is going really good. Good job, Isaiah. Therefore, I don't want to punch you in the face on this one. Pyro Chill Vibe says the wall will never fall, but they will when it hits them. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. The wall is undefeated.
So yes, let me ask you this. You had your children when you were younger. Did they ever, in any form or fashion, get in the way of the lifestyle you wanted to live?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even though, I was married and had a husband in the house for 16 years till my oldest son was 16, he's now 19.
Wait, did they divorce? Because it sounds like she said for 16 years, past tense. Past tense. So she was with a guy, they got married, and she divorced him. I guarantee it.
Still, we're limited on the things that we can do because it was between me and him. And then, like working and everything else, like what I'm doing right now, my kids are older. So what Layla is saying is absolutely right. Like things are different for me now because they're older.
Yeah, look at the size of that woman. Oof.
And I can now do the things I want to do, but they held me back a lot, and they are a lot of money. So a lot of the things that I wanted to do entrepreneur wise, anything that I was trying, I'm doing real estate.
Of course she is. She's an entrepreneur. She's doing real estate. She probably has a lashes business, probably sells hair bundles.
Esthetician, whatever extra money.
I told you she's an esthetician. I told you.
I had and made, it was going to my children as well. Not to say that's the only big bill, but they took a lot. They consumed a lot out of me. And like Desiree said, even at 19, my son is still part of my responsibility. They're my responsibility forever. So
now, Layla, that didn't give you any pause at all. She said those damn kids held her back. All her life she had to fight.
All my life. The way that I look at it, Isaiah, you are.
This guy, man.
I love you so much, Isaiah. Yes, I mean,
MGTOW Cowboy in the house on my live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate when you can catch my lives. And then Chill Vibe says he's either a simp or a fake simp to make money off of women. 100%. You know how much money I can make if I just simp to women? if I just showed my face on the regular, went on TikTok and simped, you know how much money I can make? But, I'm a man of principles.
What she's saying is very true, but at this age, when I'm getting into my groove and actually having that opportunity to have a child, I should already have been established. I'm older, I'm wiser, I have more patience, I have more resources. So if I had a child at 20, like my mom had me, versus if I have a child at 37 or 38, 40, then at least the biggest difference and the biggest blessing is the wisdom, your bank account, and your patience.
And it should be a husband. Women like her, I don't know how a woman. She said that she wants to be married, but I'm telling you guys, women like her, that is not in the cards for her because guys like we are not. We're just not dealing with it anymore. We're just not. And men, we know how much of most of us know how big of a decision is, getting how the consequences of getting the wrong woman pregnant. And to me, this seems like the wrong type of woman. What do you guys think?
Because I couldn't handle nobody a few years ago. So
Right.
I could
There you go. She even said it. I couldn't handle nobody a few years ago. So what's changed between then and now? The wall. That's what's changed.
just imagine what Jess had to go through.
She's so right, Isaiah. Let me tell you, every Saturday that I get to wake up at 9:30 instead of at the crack of I want cereal at 5:30, I'm thankful. I am not even kidding you. There are days I wake up and I'm just luxuriating because I hung out late last night and I could just chill this morning. Those days make me thankful I made the choice I made. Being a mom, that's full time, and like our friend Desiree said, does not come to a stop. I like the way I live my life, and the fact that when you call us to the studio at 10:30 at night, that I can get up and go on to the studio to be with you at your show. I think I can do that.
Now, Mitch, what if the right guy comes along and you say, now I want to get married, and this guy says, well, I don't care what age you are, I want to have children with you.
She ain't getting married. She ain't having kids, dude. She's in show business. She's 51. She's gonna Vivica Fox it, dude. This is the 51-year-old version of Vivica Fox right here. You're looking right at it. She ain't getting with nobody because she's a boss, babe. You can't tell her nothing. Let's see what her answer to this question is.
What would you tell them?
Did you contract a surrogate? Because we're not stretching out at this age. Sorry, we're not doing that. No. Factory is on the shutdown. No.
I love this. She is my spirit animal.
She got it in there. You don't see a whole team of specialists.
You know how much it costs for a surrogate? Let me see how much it costs. How much does a surrogate cost? A surrogate cost in the U.S. You guys ready for this? The price of U.S. surrogacy ranges from $110,000 to $170,000 for most families, guys. Holy mess. Oh my goodness. What? Gosh. The average cost of surrogacy in the U.S. is $110,000. No, it's $100,000. A total that includes the cost of fertility treatments, embryo creation, surrogate compensation, as well as legal and delivery fees. Ay. Oh my God. I did a story on my channel earlier where this guy from Britain, he married this woman he met in Malibu, California, and she had 3 kids already, but she was divorced, and they wanted to have a kid together. She went through 9 rounds of IVF to have their daughter, and they put themselves $200,000 in debt. And this is back in the 80s. So he started robbing banks to pay for the cost of the IVF. He robbed like 6 banks and ended up going to prison because he got caught. MGTOW Cowboy says, girl. Chill Vibe says, you got to be rich 100%. Women just talk about this stuff, not even recognizing the cost, just nilly-willy. Oh, yeah. We'll just, if I were to meet a guy and he would want to have kids, we'll just spend $100,000 on a surrogate. Get out of here.
I got a PPO, okay?
And what I'm hearing from all of you guys is it's not about the husband, it's not about this guy that I may date and what they want, it's how I want it. Is that
Boom. There it is. That's 100% true. I. Me. My. Like Johnny Gill. My. That's modern women for you. All about me.
fair or
It's 100% fair. Okay, 100% fair. Because at the end of the day, I gotta carry this tiny human in me for 9 months. He ain't gotta do nothing. He not the one with the morning sickness. He not with the one with his boobies hurting. He not the one that's trying to get comfortable with a bed because it's laying on your bladder like it's a couch in there. He's not the one putting his life on the line to give birth to said tiny human. So if I don't want a kid, that's fully up to me because my life forever changes because I'm the one who carried it for 9 months. He ain't do nothing but give me DNA for it. That's it. That's all.
You see that? She's a 27-year-old black woman. That is the modern black woman right there. Did you hear what she just said? All he did was give me DNA. That's it. I'm telling you, man. I always say it. Black men in the West have the worst women to choose from. The worst. Absolute worst. And I will take that opinion to my grave. Tell me I'm lying, guys. Tell me I'm lying. And it's because of women like this. All he did was give me DNA. It used to be men protected women because the most vulnerable thing on the planet is a 9-month-old woman or a woman and her newborn child. A woman with a newborn child can't do anything. She can't protect herself from predators. She can't forage food. She can't do any of that. And who has to pick up that slack? The man does. All he gives me is DNA. Fuck out of here.
wow.
That's true. Whoa.
That's the first time I've ever heard tiny
I second that. Yeah, and that's why you're gonna be alone and you're gonna be a single mom.
said human.
That's how you know she don't want kids.
I don't.
She's saying this now, but she give it 10 years and she's gonna be like, this is her. This is her in 10 years. And I don't understand how women will want kids, want a relationship, but then think that men are trash and men ain't esh. Because when this woman wants a relationship and wants kids, like how is this thinking? How's she gonna reconcile this thinking with her need to have children? Guys, I will bet you money she's gonna want to have kids in 10 years. I guarantee it.
I
Said
don't.
human. That was a good one.
And even though I'm at an age now where I can do what she's saying, sleep in or go do what I need to do, I still have to make sure that they're good before I go. My youngest is 12. So there's still a responsibility, whether they're young and needing me every moment of the day or a lot, they still need me. They still require attention from me.
And you don't.
Okay, I so enjoying the stream. MGTOW Cowboy, what's going on, my friend?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can, man. How are you doing?
Wow. I'm okay. Thank you for asking. It's a pleasure to be on your stream.
Were you driving truck today?
No. Unfortunately, however you want to see it, I enjoy my weekends.
Yes.
I can work extra days, but well, because I'm a bachelor and I have no wife and no kids, I choose to enjoy my weekends.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm telling you. Like, so what do you think about these women here? Tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, no, you always, and again, thank you for having me on your stream. You bring up a lot of good topics. There's so much overlap. Yeah, I don't know what to say. These women are crazy. I think they're half delusional, half prideful. They think that they're gonna mercenarily marry right before they're 50, and they're gonna land that prince billionaire, and it's all gonna work out, and white picket fence in the suburbs. And no, that's not what's gonna happen. Nine out of 10 of these women, they're gonna end up, as we say, the proverbial crazy cat lady, you know, with boxed wine.
I agree 100%. Tell me okay. I have this. You may have heard it, but I like this term. It's called copium. So like a lot of women, they cope for things. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, you know, I choose to be single," when the men that they would want to be with aren't choosing them. That's called cope. That whole concept, that whole infrastructure, I call it copium. Tell me what you think about the term copium and the fact that there's so much copium for women in their 20s. What do you think?
Well, it sounds to me that the word copium comes from the word cope and also
Mhm.
probably the word opium. And when I think of opium, I think of like like the opiate family, the drug,
Yeah, uh-huh.
heroin. Okay. So yeah, no, I think that again, that's totally real. I do think that men could also engage in copium in a way. In a way, I actually think that everything is a cope. You can become an overeater, and you could cope with drinking. Some people cope with getting into fitness, but I don't know exactly how to answer that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of copium in both the red pill community and of course these delusional women.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would just hold the fact that men may have cope and copium, but they have to suffer the consequences from their cope constantly. See, women don't feel the consequences of their cope until later on in life when they smash into the wall. So a guy can cope all he wants as long as he can deal with the constant consequences of his copium. Women will go through all of their 20s coping copium and then just look up one day and then all of a sudden there are consequences because father time limited their options. What do you think about that?
Okay, when you say that, I could not agree more. I think, in a way, the formula is very simple. For good or for bad, women are front loaded all of their sexual market value,
I
right?
agree.
When a girl's young, she's 18, she comes on the market, she's the hottest ticket in town, right? She can get into any party, she can get onto any yacht. All the men want her,
Uh-huh. I
but
agree.
for men it's the exact opposite. You got to build yourself up. Typically in your 20s and your 30s, if you make good decisions, you can start cruising into your 40s and you could be that guy in the expensive sports car, driving around with a hot 22-year-old.
I agree.
Yeah, it's unfair. Really, if you think about it, nature is cruel to both men and women. Women are given all of their beauty when they're young and dumb, and they it slowly fizzles out. But before they wise up, like you said, they waste their 20s, and then they live the rest of their life in this delusional state. And of course, as their situation deteriorates, what it seems to me is they increasingly they try to dodge blame as they mature and realize, wow, it's actually my fault. They don't take any responsibility, and they just start
They don't
blaming
try to
everybody.
dodge blame, my friend. Blame. They do dodge blame. But the problem
Right.
is the wall is undefeated, and the consequences are there. You can dodge it all you want. You're gonna have to face facts sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? And tell me what you think about. I don't know if you can see the screen. I shared the screen again, but tell me what you think about because you're in your 20s, right?
No, no, actually, I remember the last stream you had mentioned that you thought that I was in my 20s. No, I'm 39. I turned 40 in 5 months.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Just to warn you, I'm 42. It goes all downhill when you hit 40.
No,
No, no,
yeah,
no,
no,
no.
I
I'm
saw
just playing.
I saw from your last stream you also mentioned that you were previously married. Is that correct?
Yes, I was. I was married from
Okay, that I did
2011.
not know.
Say again?
That I did not know. I do remember ascertaining that you're a black man. You're from the
Yes,
East
I am.
Coast. You have an advanced degree. I
I do.
think you said you work at the DMV and you live in the Beltway.
Yeah, uh-huh, all that. So I was married from 2011. No, we were together for 4 years, married for five. No, so we were married for 4 years, married for five. And, together for I'm sorry, together for 1 year, married for four. And I'm one of the 20% where I divorced my ex-wife because she was a princess and she couldn't stop spending money, and I was out of my masculine frame. I was one of those guys, dude, where like, you know, um, you I was one of the happy wife, happy life kind of guys. Don't do that,
Sure.
guys. Don't do it. Don't do it. I've been there, and I'm telling you, man, I had to pay the price. My divorce, it was simple, but it cost me money because she had she signed. I served her with the papers, but I said, "Hey, I was making so much more money than her, and we were getting divorced in Nevada, which is pretty much like California." And I said, "Yo, I don't want to get lawyers involved because I don't want to pay you alimony." She said, "Well, just pay off
Right.
my debt, and I'll sign the papers." I said, "What are you talking about?" She had taken a bunch because we were long distance the last year and a half of our
Sure.
marriage, and she took out a bunch of debt on credit cards that like I didn't know about.
Right, right. I mean, again, it's the same old story. Like, I mean, I was lucky enough. I sort of dodged that bullet. I never got married, but part of the reason why I consider myself a MGTOW is I saw what happened to my father.
Mhm.
In fact, I detailed all this a year ago when I called in on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Have you ever heard of Jesse Lee
Oh
Peterson?
yeah, of course. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I
He's
called in on the show
hilarious.
detailing the whole thing. Yeah, my father, he got married to
Mhm.
my mother, my biological mother, and I don't know, she was not. Of course, I love my mom, right? Who doesn't love their mom? But she's a woman, like all women, and she, yeah, there was a lot of problems there. They got divorced. Of course, the whatever we want to call it, legally it's called family court. Uh, my father lost the entire familial estate. He lost a house, which was paid off,
Now,
and two multi-unit investment properties.
did your
There
mom
was
leave him?
I'm sorry.
Did your mom leave him?
No, actually, in this case, similar to you, my father initiated divorce against her. She was batshit crazy. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can curse on your stream.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Keep it
okay.
to
She
keep it
was
to
batshit crazy,
a minimum,
but
but
it
just
doesn't
go ahead.
matter because and of course, once they started having children, my father was the only one who worked. So my father's working 60 hours a week. He's the one saving and all this, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The court, the courts are, you call it whatever you want, child support court, family court, child custody court. Legally, it's called family court. Family court is
Le-
unbelievably biased against the male.
yeah. Yeah.
My father lost
Non-legally,
it.
it's called men. You don't want to be their court because you're gonna get screwed.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. And then some years later, what would be like current year -5, I found myself in court. I essentially was framed by my stepmother. She she initiated a physical altercation with me while I was still living in her home. I was 3 or 4 days away from moving out. I'd already signed my lease on my current apartment. Anyway, she hit me. She put her hands on me, and I put my hands on her back. And I can tell any man listening to you, any man listening to this stream right now, I know this sounds like a pussy move, but it's true. If a woman hits you, I advise that you do not hit her back. Um, especially if you're living in like her home. There's
Mhm.
something called primary aggressor laws, and that is to say, this all gets back to like communism and okay, well, let me just tell you, it when a man and a woman get into any sort of physical altercation and they're
Yeah.
living together
Yeah.
legally, the
I
man
know
is
about that whole
considered.
doctrine, how the man is assumed to be the aggressor under that. There's a certain doctrine where where all those laws were written under, where the man is assumed to be the aggressor almost all the time.
Right, correct, correct. Yeah, so this all gets back to like certain laws that have come into place. Basically, I'm sorry to say it, but like the communists, if you want to call them that, call them whatever you want. Communists, progressives, postmodernists, they go by many names. Democrats, they've come in and right under our noses, and they've changed all these laws. If there's any sort of altercation between a man and a woman, and you are living with them, you don't even. They could be a roommate. You don't have to be married. You, as the man, are considered the primary aggressor, and that is to say that they consider it legally, you are more likely to be the one who initiated the aggression. And so, which is a really nice way for women to just say, I can just hit you, and you can't hit me back because you're the one who's going to be in court.
And also, with that cowboy, I always say this: we are 4 or 5 generations into men being taught don't put your hands on women. Maybe 6 generations, because for the past 50 years, right? And the problem is there is a limit in an argument with a woman for a man. With another man, there isn't, because look, if I disrespect you enough, we're going to start throwing down. But women have no limit, so they keep going lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. That's why I always say, don't share your inner thoughts and feelings with your woman. Women can only hurt you; they can't beat you physically. So when they don't get what they want, they're going to hurt you emotionally, and they're going to use the weapons that you give them. Women will hurt you with the stuff that you told her in confidence. Don't open up to your girl, guys. Don't do it, because she will use it against you in a fight. She will, because she has no other weapons. She can't fight you physically. And on my channel, look, I'm Black. I can say this: the majority of Black mothers are effing scumbags. About 75%. So, like, what your mom sounds like is par for the course for a lot of Black women in the United States. And I think that we need to talk about how bad a lot of American mothers are. There's a lot of scumbags out there, man, and they have kids. And it's funny because, women have trauma, MGTOW Cowboy. What about the trauma? Yeah, what about it? Get it fixed before you have children, and don't take it out on your kids.
Well, remember, according to books like what is that called? I'm sorry, I can't remember. Warren Farrell. Warren Farrell. Do you remember that gentleman? Oh no. Okay. Well, he's a very prominent men's rights advocate at this point. He actually used to be a member of NOW, the National Organization of Women. He was on their council.
Oh yeah, that guy. And then he changed sides. Okay, yeah. I remember
right.
him.
That's right. Yeah, no, he spoke about it. He's good at these like one-liners. He's got this good one-liner. He says, what is it? Women's strength is their perception of weakness. Men's weakness is their perception of strength. Women can be just as brutal, just as cheating, conniving as any
Women
man.
have almost or more of the propensity for evil than men.
Yes, actually. Well, yes. I'm sorry to say that as well. As you know, I've studied this what I call the sort of gender dynamic now for years, and I'm university set. I don't have a master's degree; I have a bachelor's, but I know how to read and write. Yes, unfortunately, from all the research I've done, it does seem that women have a penchant for all these negative behaviors. We like to think that. As they say, women are what is it? Women are sugar and spice and all things nice. No, that's not true. Once you learn about, like, I tell every man, learn about like evolutionary psychology. The real truth is that women throughout our evolutionary history, they essentially evolved to be extremely selfish. And the basic idea is that, like, they're smaller, they're more like diminutive. The men are bigger and more physical. We can just physically just take what we want and do what we want. Women cannot. And so literally evolution has driven them to use their mind to essentially lie and cheat their way through life, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And that's it's going to be one of the best parts about the next 10, 15 years, man. The illusion that women are morally superior based upon their gender is going to be dispelled, and I can't wait, because you see all these teachers, female teachers, freaking doing disgusting stuff to their young male students. That one lady ran that one company, and she scammed investors out of billions, out of hundreds of millions of dollars. Who is that lady? It was some blood thing.
Or...
Yeah. Or you see all these female politicians like
didn't she just go to prison?
Yeah. Yep. I'm telling you, it's not the man in the position of power. It's the position of power itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah, you know,
I'm just hoping that
I
we can
feel
get rid of that
I
visceral
don't.
reaction where I can't believe a woman did that. That's why, guys, on my channel, I have a playlist called Awful Women and Their Foolishness. Please go to that playlist and listen and watch it because, in fact, um, I got to do one on, you know who Rita Crumwell is? MGTOW Cowboy?
No, I'm sorry.
She's the woman that committed the biggest municipality fraud in the history of the United States. She was the comptroller of a small city in Illinois or Ohio, and she had this world-class horse breeding ranch. And she was stealing from the city's fund to fund her horse breeding. Everyone thought
I'm
that,
sorry. What is this woman's name again?
Rita Crumwell, the Crundwell, Crundwell.
Oh wow.
Crundwell.
No, you know what? I'm sorry. I never heard of her. You know, I did actually meet a criminal woman once though. This was a couple years ago. I met the president of well, the former president of the township of Cicero. Cicero is a suburb of Chicago. Do you
Hmm.
remember Betty Lauren Maltese?
Uh-uh.
Oh no, it was a national story at the time because well, frankly, she was a Republican, and well, Cicero used to be like the stomping grounds for Al Capone.
I
At that
see it.
time,
I see it.
yeah,
She stole $12 million from the city.
Betty Lauren Maltese.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, right. I met her in person. I was doing food delivery at the time for a ubiquitous supermarket chain here in Chicago, and they started like a home delivery service. I it was just another day at work. All of a sudden, I get this name. It was her. It was totally her. She went I can't remember. She went to a state or federal penitentiary. She embezzled, yeah, what was it, 10, $12 million? She was
12
buying
million, bro.
trips, going on trips. She was buying horses, all this craziness.
Rita Crumwell stole $54 million, bro.
Oh wow, yeah, that's more than
Yeah,
Betty Lauren
man. I'm
Maltese.
gonna do like an extended one on her. I might do a live stream on it because it's one of my favorite stories. People, I can't believe she did that. I'm hoping in my lifetime, my bro, that we can get rid of that visceral reaction, and especially in my community, I'm gonna say it: the face of violence and theft and child abuse in the Black community is our women, not our men. And anything that
Yeah,
happens,
yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's true. When you do the research, what you find is my understanding basically is that I know this sounds crazy because it's the actual men who oftentimes do the violence, but you have to look beyond that. You have to look at where the violence comes from, where the how can I put it, where the impetus is. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's the right word. If basically the origin. Women, so now I'm basically stealing the idea of what's his name, Otto Weiniger, the Jewish German, or the, I guess he was Austrian, Jewish Austrian, whatever, German speaking philosopher. He has this idea that actually almost all social ills, almost all social problems stem from women, or that is to say, it's basically women's fault.
yeah.
But the thing is, you can't say that in polite company because it really it bothers the sensibilities of women. You see, it's like,
What
well,
did you see that story about Travis Rudolph, the receiver, and he was with that woman, and she was bothering him about why he wouldn't marry her, and so she
didn't she
found
send some thugs to like shoot up his
her
house?
brother and like the three other guys, and he got his AR, sprayed 50 rounds at those mofos, and deleted one of them. And then she was on the stand trying to say that she didn't mean for it to happen. Get out of here, man! I'm telling you. Let
Well, you
me
know what? The thing is,
go ahead.
she may not have meant for the situation to escalate to that, but again, notice how like the origin of the altercation comes from her desire to impose her will on this guy who she couldn't trap, and she sends over two guys.
She was
So
already
so you
married, bro. She's married to another guy, and she was mad at
oh
him for not marrying her. Isn't that
oh
crazy?
wow.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry. I didn't remember that caveat. No, I didn't know that she had already been married, or she was still already married. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, let me get back on the subject here, please. There's only like 3 minutes left of this video.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you want, I can ditch. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Oh no, stay
hijack the
on, stay
stream.
on. If you want to stop
Oh,
and talk
okay,
about
okay.
anything about up here, if you want me to pause it, I can pause it. But let's get through the rest of this here because there's only
Sure.
about 3 minutes left.
Stop worrying about the kids just because they're
Ever.
grown. That never goes away. That's a lifetime responsibility.
It is. It is, honestly. Because like I said, I'm 27, gonna be 28 in June. My mama texts me damn near every day, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" I'm like, "Mama, I'm still breathing, converting oxygen to carbon dioxide. I'm good." But she's still worried about me. She like, "Make sure you're all right. Just making sure you're okay." Like, being a mom is a forever job. Like,
Yeah.
But that
I have a
in your
question.
50s, Desiree, mine still does it too.
Please.
Oh wow.
You
So I
will
have a
forever be
question.
their child.
Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm so
Layla.
sorry. No, I have a question for the ladies that absolutely said no to them damn kids. What? How do you picture yourself as you get older? Because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, when I get older, I would hope my child would take care of me." Reverse the roles.
A lot of women are saying that. Men don't have any expectation that their child is going to take care of them when they get older. That's another thing that women have drug into the forefront. And there's always, if a woman is single, there's always one of the kids that's going to have to take care of their mama because their mom made stupid decisions growing up. No, while raising them, I meant.
So, do you have a lot of nieces, nephews? Do you give them extra gifts on Christmas so they know that when I get older, y'all gotta help me out?
Can I, Layla, that is the one thing that always stuck in my mind until I started to see something happening. I have
Okay, you're back. You all right?
Oh yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yes. The reason why I did that for a very specific reason. Basically, the first time I had called in, one of my friends called me on the phone, and I declined the call, but it somehow lowered the volume. Basically, yeah, I decided to like reboot it or
Okay.
leave and then come back in. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get through the rest of this here.
a slew of friends who are
So they're talking about, what if you don't want to have kids, what's your life going to look like when you get older? And of course, one of them said, because she said the expectation is a lot of women with kids expect their kids to take care of them when they're older. And I said, only women say that. No men have the expectation that the kids that they raise are going to take care of them when they're older. Women have
Right.
introduced that concept into the ether. What do you think?
Wow, I couldn't agree more. Wow, that's actually something I was going to bring up independently of you. Yeah, again, I'm sorry. So getting back to
Give me
this
1 second,
gentleman,
because Kenford Julian's going to be on the. Let me say hi, Kenford Julian. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm real good, man. I'm just listening to you. You and Cowboy, right? Cowboy it is?
Yeah. Let me let MGTOW Cowboy continue. What were you saying, buddy?
yeah, basically,
I'm good,
oh,
man.
I'm sorry.
Kenford, you have an echo, bro.
Cowboy, okay.
Yeah. Let me let MGTOW Cowboy.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah. Okay, MGTOW, go ahead.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, basically I agree with you. I think it's much worse than that. So I have this idea, again, stealing this or borrowing this from Otto Weiniger and those of his political ilk who think like him. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that that's how women think. You talk about, oh yeah, they want to be taken care of by their children. Yes, they do. That is a lot of women's retirement plan. It goes even deeper than that. People like Otto Weiniger, he says that the concept of slavery itself actually comes from women. He says that slavery is sort of like a mind state. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of thinking about your relation to other people. And he says that that's how women think. Women have this idea that like they're entitled to other people's, especially men. They're entitled to other men's time. They're entitled to other
Attention,
men's
resources.
utility, money, work, blah blah blah, and they seek to impose this. You can call it whatever you want. A nice way of saying it is that's how women want to format society. But the problem is there's a lot of free-thinking men who don't want to go along with that. Well, guess what they do to us? They screw us over using the simps. They get the simps to force us to the free men to go along.
And how did they do that? Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. R.I.P. Kevin Samuels. Sign language.
Shame and blame. Shame and
Yep.
blame.
Shame, insult, guilt. You're right. Kenford Julian, what do you think about these women so far? What do you think about women who say I'm not having kids because it's too expensive? What do you think?
Well, first of all, this woman here is 51. What's she talking about? She's like, come on, man. 51. What you talking about?
And what do you think about the 38-year-old who wants to have kids all of a sudden? The buzzer beater, I call her.
Well, man.
Step up to the plate, bro. Go for it. She's single.
Man, but you know what? Bet she come to the bottomless pit. That'll be a good city for her.
Big time. Kemper Julian calls New York the bottomless pit because the women are so awful there.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. It's pretty bad here in Chicago, but New York, I mean, isn't that like the epicenter of feminism here in the States?
No, man. No. Western
Well,
Washington State, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Seattle.
no
There is
doubt.
no other liberal, freaking feminist wasteland than
Okay.
Olympia, Portland, Seattle, bro.
Okay, you remember in the I think 1980 no 1918 the woman who came the group of men and the women is upstate New York. What came up with feminism?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's what it was like 1978 or 79 was when they first started gathering as a movement.
Yeah, but that was the foundation was in
I'm sorry. I'm talking about the feminist movement back in the 1800s.
Yes.
That's called Seneca Falls.
I'm talking about, bro. You know what else started in New York City in the late 70s, early 80s? The single mothers by choice movement, guys. Oh my God, that started in New York City. Here we go, guys.
Well, hold
on. Naomi.
Hi, guys.
What is going on?
Hi.
Here.
I thought I would grace you all with my presence, obviously.
What do you think about this whole thing? This women who want to have children because it's too expensive. You have one of the girls here talking about she's 27. She never wants to have kids. You have the buzzer beater woman who's 37 years old looking for a husband and wants to have a kid. You have the 51-year-old here who's done for. She's going to be single. The cat lady here, and then you have the woman who had kids young. What do you think about all this?
There's a lot to unpack there. That's a lot. So the ladies that don't want children, I find that it's from a place of fear, I guess. And if they've been pushed into not pushed, but sold this lie of women should be in the workplace and blah, 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 they get stuck in that place and they fear lack of money.
I don't like the term push, Naomi. I like to say if they form their decision-making processes around that, because no one's pushed to do anything. But go ahead.
I mean, in terms of their own. Sorry, my son's sleep meditation is really loud.
Meditation.
Sleep meditation. Yeah, he uses it to go to sleep.
Oh man.
No, he said your son's meditation for sleep, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. Go for it.
I got you.
Yeah, for my son. So, yeah, not pushed. I mean, sold a lie in terms of what women should be doing rather than what women truly. I think their natural nature is to want to be nurturing, want to have a family. Like that young girl said that she thought that that's what she was meant to be doing. And I think if she had stayed in that narrative and that stupid teacher didn't tell her the opposite, she probably would have stayed there. And I think when your hormones kick in as a girl, that's when you start to want to have children rather than how she was quite young when she made that decision. I've had friends that were like that when we were younger. Then when they had a child, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't want to do this.
It's the copium, Naomi. What do you think about that term? Because I think that, okay, women come up with a cope to deal with things like, okay, copium is the social infrastructure in place that they use terms like, I'm a boss, I don't want to be married, I don't need a man, because it helps them, it removes them from the accountability of making life decisions until they're older. Now they know that they're going to have to make them, but they use the copium to push it off until they smash into the wall. What do you think about that?
I think that using that in order to make what they're doing sound like it's the right thing that they're doing to themselves. I think we all at some point have told ourselves lies in order to stay in situations or do things that might necessarily not align to what you feel is the right thing to do. Because when I was young, because I had my daughter really young, I loved being at home. But in my mind, I thought, oh, but I'm meant to be providing, so I have to be at work. So I forced myself to go in the military, and I hated every minute of it. I didn't hate every minute of it, but I mean, it wasn't in my natural nature. Now I don't work full time. I refuse to go to work full time. Like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to. We're not designed.
About Naomi. Naomi is honest. She's one of those girls. You know what? Let me find a good guy. I'm willing to be the type of woman that where I could take his last name. He can provide for me. And I wish more women would just be honest. Kinford.
Because they don't sorry. One last point.
Go ahead.
They don't realize this is why they're all looking old. They're tired. They don't have time to emotion. We don't have the capacity. I think I was saying this to you the other day, Doug. Like, men have high levels of testosterone for a reason. We're not built that way. We have all these fluctuations because we're meant to not be in a high stressful job all day. We're meant to be like, when your child naps, you can nap. Like, it's absolutely magical. I love a nap. But if you're at work, you have to do that, and then you have to come home and you still have to deal with the children and deal with the house. Like, why wouldn't you, like, women also feel like, oh, it's then somehow some kind of dictatorship because your husband's leading the house, but you're getting told what to do by either a bitchy woman or a man that doesn't give a shit about you at work. So what's that is actually worse, because then you have to go home and still do all the same stuff that you were going to do anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Illogical.
We have three. So, MGTOW, do you have any kids, MGTOW Cowboy?
No wife, no kids. Thank God.
Okay, then Kinford doesn't either. So there's three men on the panel here who are in their 40s, have made something of themselves, and don't have children.
I will say this, if I may interrupt you, I do find it disconcerting, or how can I put it? I sort of feel bad for this lady or ladies, women like this lady. There are women who are willing to accept this more traditional role, and God bless them. That's great. However, I think that in a way our society has been poisoned because, again, it all gets back to the laws. Because the laws are so anti-male, a lot of, let's say, decent men that might be willing to wife up ladies like this lady here. I'm sorry, ma'am. What's your name?
Naomi.
Naomi. Okay, it's a very, very charming accent, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a lot of women.
It's like a siren song, bro. You got to watch out, man.
Doug.
I love me some Naomi, man. She's my homie. So go ahead.
Well, yeah, no. Just to finish that idea, it's very sad. I think there's a lot of women who still have that a traditional bone left in them, but they find it hard to connect with men who might seek out a traditional relationship because the laws are on the women's side. If anything goes wrong, the men are going to be heavily penalized. So the good men avoid getting into these sort of long-term relationships with the women. We're screwed. Our society is screwed, that the laws have formatted society so that the good men stay away from the good women. This forces the women to have to go to work, and it's just a big ugly. It's just a big crap sandwich, and we all got to take a big bite now.
I do think that there is quite a big difference. No, I don't think. I know that there's a big difference between the UK laws and American laws. So but I seem to attract American men. So I've always, like, my thing from this point, knowing more about the American law, that I will sign anything that he feels will keep him safe or make him, like, you know, that will remove me from ever that even being a potential, so his mind is at rest.
Yeah.
And he's never, that potential is never even a possibility. So he knows I'm there because I need to be there, and it's nothing to do with that element of it, because it sucks. America sucks.
Think about this. Women, there's a reason why successful women will make as much as a man, but still want a man who makes more than them, because they know for a fact they don't want to be in the traditional male position in these relationships in marriage. That's one of the reasons
also,
why.
we're naturally hypergamous, so we don't want to be. If we earn more money than our husband or partner, I know you don't like that term, so I'll say boyfriend.
I hate it.
My boyfriend. When I say boyfriend, I feel like I'm at like school again.
Well, boyfriend, fiance, wife, husband all have roles attached to it. Partner is a vacuous, nebulous term that women use to be able to hold you to a standard that's based upon their feelings. Okay, a partnership is usually between business partners.
Yeah.
And you're a partner, you draw up a tangible contract as to what that partnership is. Women want the name of partner without drawing up the tangible contract. What that means is they can set the terms to whatever they want.
But also, I think there's like so many unspoken terms for women now as a woman, like, oh, well, you have to work, I have to work, it's 50-50. But then when it comes to the kids, it's not really 50-50. I'm at home with said children, I'm making sacrifices for said children, and then we're still 50-50. So I think on those terms, like for me, there's no 50-50. I'm not doing it. It's never even on the table of 50-50. I think I went on one date and like I had to pay half, and I was actually really offended that it even was. I was really offended, literally. And then we were talking about, I went on my brother's yoga retreat, and there was lawyers sat at the table. There was all these really high-powered women at the table, and they were like, well, yeah, it has to be 50-50. I was like, who says? I was like, no, it doesn't. I was like, it really not. I said, I was really offended that he even thought that I would want to potential. I said, because what happens when you have a child? And I went to a debate class thing, and we were debating this topic, and I was like, what happens if you're dating, you both have no children, and you're all used to 50-50? What happens when you give birth and you no longer want to go to work, can go to work?
Which happens the majority of the time. It happens the majority of the time.
And then your husband's stressed because he didn't realize that this was going to be the expectation, and there's not enough money coming in. You're all stressed. There's a new baby screaming in your ear, and you're expecting him to pay everything, and he can't.
Let me get to AJ Rent's reactions is here. Let me get to Kenford real quick, and then I'll go to AJ. Kenford, what do you think about that woman who's 37, 38, 39, and all of a sudden wants to have a kid? What do you think?
Well, tell you what, I can give her an invite so she could come over to the bottomless pit.
It's that bad in New York City, Kenford. It's that bad.
What are you talking about? Is here the devil sleeps.
Do you live in New York?
Yeah, it's here the devil sleeps. Doug, what are you talking about, Doug?
Even Kevin Samuels said it. He said, if you want a serious relationship or get married, ladies, get the F out of New York City.
What are you talking about, Doug? Doug, tell you what. There was a legislation about a couple of months ago that my bosses, these are Wall Street men. Eh? These are Wall Street men. They were chanting about they wanted to make prostitution illegal. You heard about that, Doug?
They wanted to make it legal or illegal?
Legal.
Okay.
Yeah, but a couple of ladies turned it down. So so it didn't go through again. But they will try again. They said they'll reform it and bring it back up. So
It,
I guess when the next election comes, they'll give it a shot again.
it's legal in Germany. Like I
So
used to go and visit my
You
friend
see,
in Germany, and there was just
oh,
like little trucks with red lights on, like caravans on the side of the road, and there'd just be red lights in them. I was like, "What's that?" And he was like,
The whole
"Prostitutes.
trains.
They get taxed. They get
The
taxed."
whole train.
AJ, what do you got to say about this whole women don't want to have children because women are too expensive? Copium. What do you think? The four women on the panel before. What do you think about all this?
All this is cap. Because the thing is, most people want kids. All right, I believe that there's more men who don't want kids than women. But the reason why we know most women want kids is because historically 40% of men have reproduced and over 80% of women. So it's been a privilege all throughout history to reproduce anyways for men, right? But then again, there's a large group of men in the West. But what happens is, just like all this strong and independent stuff, girls cap to each other in their 20s. And then they hit like 35, 36, and they want to get married and have kids. That's just the thing. And all the girls who are in their 50s saying this, all they're trying to do is justify their wrong decision. Or even then, it's a small group of women, just like the whole, I want to go Dutch thing. It's a small group of women trying to speak for all women. Those women in the video were actually trying to act like they are some type of majority. They're a small minority, right? They don't speak for most people. They don't even speak for a large group. Most people want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. I've never wanted to have kids. But that's me. I realize that I'm not, look, all this red pill space, we can talk about, men and men, the majority of men are still going to get married. The majority of women are still going to get married and have kids. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? And especially around the world. So I don't understand how people, especially in the West in the last 30 years, think that they know better than all of history or the rest of the world. That's how it works. But if I could, I do have a story really fast. I know a guy who wanted kids. He's married. He's married for like 8 years. And then his wife, she was the only married one out of all of her friends. So he's like, when they first met, they were like, hey, you want kids? Yes, I want kids. Yes. Long story short, they've been about 4 years.
Wait, what's that now? Uh-oh, you went out. Hello? Oh, well.
He had the
Started saying,
the
I can't have kids.
Wait. Okay. AJ, okay. Go ahead, AJ.
Oh yeah. So the guy that I know, his wife, they were arguing back and forth about having kids. Now she has a really bad health problem and she can't physically have kids anymore. It's over. It's done. And he wants to be a father. So I was like, you got to leave her. There's plenty
I agree.
of women out
Can they
there
not
that
get
he
a
can have his own.
surrogate?
Naomi,
I don't think so.
I mean,
no.
it'd be her
Hey, both you two. I went over. What is the average cost of a surrogate in the United States? Try and guess a dollar amount, Naomi.
I'm not sure, but I live in the UK and they would get it on the NHS for free. So,
$100,000.
wow. It's cheaper in Europe. Yeah. And
$100,000.
but they would get it on the NHS here.
Yeah. But plus he deserves to be with a woman that and then once cough had happened and she got away from her friends, she realized that it wasn't her idea to not want to have kids. It was all the rest of her single, angry feminist friends who were
The
saying
copium. The copium is real.
I told him he deserves to be able to be with a wife that can get pregnant, have his kids. They go through all the Lamaze and all of that, and it would be the same flipped around. If a woman was with a guy and I don't know, he got his testicles shorn off in an accident.
Or he was shooting blanks or something.
Yeah, she should leave him and find a man to have kids with.
I don't think I could leave him. I don't think I could leave.
There are a
him.
lot of African countries where, particularly predominantly Muslim countries, where if your wife can't have children, you can take another wife.
Yeah.
By law. And this thing about, I can't say it enough. Oh, we'll just adopt. So a guy is supposed to override his natural propensity to want to have his own children to satiate you as a mom because your stuff doesn't work. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
No.
I just think that people that things are better off when compromise isn't both sides not getting what they want. That's not how it works.
Yes.
Compromise is both sides getting as close to what they can get, what they want as possible. But this guy that I know who wants to see his seed grow up shouldn't have to, with his wife, shouldn't have to get a surrogate or any type of, friggin' nanotechnology to have kids. That's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And the time that they spent arguing and all this other stuff with all those years was time that they could have been having kids.
Yeah, 100%. Because there was plenty of time where he wanted to have kids, and she's like, no, my friends, blah 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 blah. Therefore, you're choosing to not have kids until the choice is taken away from you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think in that situation is
And here's the thing.
because she said at the beginning she wanted kids, and then to take that away, I would leave. If my husband or I got with somebody and because I wanted children, if they then was like, oh no, I don't want it, I'd be like, well, you've changed the goalpost, and that's not like,
and that's
especially
the
on such a
one
big
thing-
thing of reproducing.
Yeah, you can't compromise on kids. You can compromise on religion, on politics. I would even say on money. I don't know how, but you can. But you cannot compromise on children. You just can't.
No,
I
no.
don't want kids. I never have. Never.
Yeah.
And woe if any woman that I've ever been with decided to try and make me a father against my will. All she's getting from me is direct deposit. That's it. Every month, because I'm not doing it. Nope. I made it clear my whole life, no kids. So and I made it this far.
What do you think about this whole we can adopt thing? What do you think about that?
Doug, you hearing the fireworks, right? Yeah, this is I think
Pride.
This week is the lesbians. So last week was the
lesbians.
Yeah, last week was the Transformers and this
The Transformers.
so there you see. Oh, Doug, they got underwater. They got like fireworks underwater.
Okay.
Where are you from? Ken?
Huh?
Where are you from? Your accent.
No, I'm from the Caribbean.
Yeah, no, that I meant where in the Caribbean.
Oh, Grenada.
Oh, okay.
So Doug, this week is the lesbians week. So
Do they all have
gotta
a different week?
Yeah. They got
So
a
they
different.
have
Seriously?
So
Huh?
there's nothing but Subaru Foresters. Clark
No.
Kent Street.
Like when Pride Month starts, usually they start it like from Fifth Avenue, I think. From Fifth Avenue, go right down to Manhattan, right down in the bottom, and they have like different. Okay, like they have talks, and then they separate it by weeks. So you got 1 week for Transformers, 1 week for the gays, 1 week for lesbian, and I think the next one is
Hey,
the next one is for
QRSTUV HIJK elemental piece.
yeah.
talk about overindulging.
Yes. LGBT HCTV, I call it.
Like, I'm all
But-
about
but-
being
but-
open to and accepting, but why do you need a home up? Why do you need a home? Where's like? Oh, anyway.
Their month is longer than ours. Black History Month, A, is in
I
the
was
shortest
literally
month of
about
the
to
year,
say that.
and B, it's in February where it's cold. Man, we come from warmer from Africa, man, where it's warm, and they give us a cold month. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Kenford, what do you think about the whole we can adopt surrogate thing? What do you think about a man taking care of, like, wanting to take care of his own seed? So, like, example, a woman going into dating older, wanting to be a mother, and there could be complications, and she's like, well, let's just adopt. What would you do if a woman said that to you?
Are you crazy? Adopt. In New York City, a dog adopt. Who? Nah, that's not for me, dog. Adopting kids is not for me.
I was going to be a foster mum.
Nah.
You already have 2 kids, Naomi. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was going to foster as well when my son gets a bit older. I went through the process of being on the emergency foster. I was in foster care at certain points, and I've worked in residential children's homes.
Naomi,
and
it's to
stuff
the
like
point now, and
I love.
I'm gonna tell you this as a friend. If you take on another child, you are deciding to be single for the rest of your life.
I know. And also the thing that stopped me was I like to travel. I don't want to take, like, sometimes I don't even want to take my own kids. So, like, I don't want to take, like, another child that I
don't know
want
where
to
this
take.
whole big heart helping the look, my favorite charity is my bank account, right? I don't have this whole I need to help the children and all of this, man. Look.
But you're a man. You're different.
No. Some of the most philanthropic people that I know that help people the most are men. Right? Are men. I know 2 guys that adopted children on their own and took care of business. What I'm saying is, look, you do all this philanthropic stuff when you're older and you have nothing better to do. What do you think lawyers, doctors, successful people, they start foundations and build hospitals and stuff, and they're 65.
And those are mostly men too.
Well, yeah, that's what my plan was to do when my children were older. But I want to get married, and I would rather go and look after baby elephants than look after children.
Yeah,
I'm like, I've been a mum since I was like 17.
These kids.
So.
No.
Yeah, I just,
these kids, you know what I'm saying?
There are just certain decisions that women make as they get older where you have decided to be single. One, if you become a single mother by choice, or you let some asshole shoot up the club and get you pregnant, and you're a single mom, and the fastest growing group of single mothers in the United States are between the ages of 33 and 41. If you have a child like that, you're going to be single. I would argue if you buy a house by yourself and you're a woman in your 30s, you are going to be single for the rest of your life. There's just things that women do that tell a man you want to be single. And guys, we're not going to break down your walls. We're not going to show you any understanding, because women don't show us understanding. Just don't.
I think that the biggest thing is that there used to be this mindset, like, that men had to deal with stuff, right? Like, men have to.
It was part of being a real man.
And now that whole mindset is gone. Men don't have to feel like we have to do anything. The world's suffering because of it. But
well, I think the dealing thing is compromise. Like you were talking about compromise earlier.
One-way compromise, though.
No,
because women are expected to compromise for men, but men are expected to compromise for women. Go ahead. Happy wife, happy life means no compromise for the man.
Oh, get it out of here, dog. Where you get this happy wife bullshit from? Get it out of here, man.
I mean, I think if both of you are happy, then, but I think what people do is they put their happiness on each other. Like, my husband's happiness is not my responsibility. It's my responsibility to ensure that I never do anything intentionally to hurt, but it doesn't mean that I won't upset him sometimes. But he has to have a foundation of happiness before we even meet. Otherwise, he's going to look to me to constantly be creating that, and vice versa. That's where women.
Naomi, I have to disagree. Well, I have to partially.
He's going to be out working. He's going to be out working. He's going to be busy.
AJ, hold on. Men's happiness comes from accomplishment and respect.
Yeah,
okay?
Of course. Mm-hmm.
A man will look to you to recognize his accomplishments and respect him for it. And that's the biggest problem with modern women. They don't acknowledge the quest of being a man, and they don't respect men at all. A man will give you the world if you just respect him.
I hear
That's all you
that.
have to do, but women can't even do that right. You say yes to your man so he can say yes to you. A man will say yes to anything if you say yes to him. But you can't say no and expect a man to keep saying yes, and that's the problem. So yes, he will look to you for happiness because he wants to accomplish for you, provide for you, and all you have to do is give him back respect. So he will
But
be
a lot
looking
of
to
this,
you.
if he's not seeking, if he's not getting respect outside of the house, he still also won't feel happy. So there has to be a balance within himself outside of the house as well as, yes, of course, to have
But
a
the thing about, I
happy
agree with that, but the thing
relationship
about it
between
is
the two of us.
outside the house, outside of women, accomplishment is recognized and respected more from the outside than the woman that you're with.
But not
That's the
always.
problem.
This is why we
Facts.
have not always is that all men. Obviously, there are a lot of men that do get respected but there are a lot of men that feel like they're disrespected outside of the house, even before they're even in relationships.
Because they haven't accomplished anything yet.
Right. So
Most men
my
who are
point is that
accomplished are
there
respected by their
has to,
peers and by society.
if you like, I've been in a previous relationship, he was very accomplished, but there were parts of himself that he hadn't worked on. And so no matter how much pouring I did
Like
into
what?
him,
Like what?
into the
What do you mean? Like what? Parts of him? Like what?
well, so without, if somebody has unhealthy habits because they don't know how to deal with their own emotions, which then
Oh,
can
Lord.
create
Okay.
toxicity within a space, no matter how much you pour into and recognize and respect somebody, it's never that person's never going to be happy.
So you're saying if a person doesn't understand how to manage their emotions, they're not going to be happy.
Exactly.
So
Like
see,
you mean, alcoholism or gambling or something like that?
Exactly. Whatever. Yeah, whatever it may look like.
okay, but that's the thing
Usually
about it though. Like managing
when
your
people, but people,
like
even if it's somebody that drinks every night a bottle of
Uh-huh.
wine or a glass of wine, women do it. Women will be like, oh, I really need a glass of wine. To me, that's unhealthy. You're
Okay.
blocking out something. You're not dealing with, like, if you have to every day come home and drink a bottle of wine or even a couple of glasses every single day, that's not a healthy way of dealing with your emotion. You're not happy.
Facts.
yeah,
Though.
yeah.
Yeah. This
And
So
is
so
once
for
again,
me,
most of the time,
sorry, go on.
my statement still stands.
I didn't say it didn't. I'm just saying for me to have that balance within my household, I know that I have a general state of happiness. Yes, I'm sometimes sad. Yes, I'm sometimes irritated. Yeah, all of those. But my general, you've known me for long enough, Doug, my general state of being is I am happy now. So anybody that I go into a relationship, I'm just going to add that happiness to them. But also, they have to have a general state of happiness. I'm not saying that they won't be angry sometimes, they won't be frustrated, there won't be the fluctuations. But if it's then a case of they don't know how to manage those emotions, then primary emotions, then it then becomes problematic. So it's like we all have to be at a certain level of emotional maturity to even be in a
See,
relationship.
I can understand your point of view on that, but okay, Frank Miller wrote for DC. He wrote for Marvel Comics, and some of Batman's best villains came from Frank Miller because Frank Miller was like, why does every single villain have to have an origin story? Why can't I just write some people who are just evil, who are just bad? The mutants. Stan Lee got tired of having to come up with some origin story. Oh, he got shocked by some radiation. No, he just said, look, people are just born with powers. A lot of times, if someone's an alcoholic, see, I appreciate, Naomi, that you try to analyze them from an emotional whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, there are plenty of people who have emotional things wrong with them who don't choose to be alcoholics, who don't choose to be drug addicts. I think that even if they don't have the emotional intelligence, they've chosen the wrong way to go about it, and you to do your best. Like, if you can, don't try to show these people understanding. If you're with a woman, let's say kids aren't involved. If you're with a woman, or a woman is with a man, and they haven't gotten serious yet, and she finds out that the man's an alcoholic, don't choose to try to understand it. Leave.
But
Yes.
I was even
Yes.
talking on a
Yes.
basis level of
Facts, dog. Facts.
even managing it for women as well. Women like I sometimes sit, because I don't drink really, like very rarely.
Yeah, I
If
don't
I'm
either.
going out,
So
I'll drink, but I mean very rare. Well, you won't find me with a bottle of alcohol in my house because I'm stressed. Like that
so
just isn't something.
Kimber, go ahead.
so question to Naomi. You said manage it. Is that I heard?
Yeah, so people use
So
alcohol.
okay. So here goes my question. So
Mhm.
can you? So let me say leave out alcohol. Can you manage a crackhead?
No, I wasn't talking of the extremes. I was brought up with two parents with problems of that extremities, that level of like, because there's some people will think going to the pub every day and I've only had 2 glasses isn't a problem. If you're using it as a coping mechanism in order to not deal with your problems, because we know that alcohol is a depressant, it's a problem.
Or smoking also.
Or smoking, whatever it is. I don't do any of them. So, I mean, whatever it
I
may
don't
look
either.
like,
Yeah, I got
whatever.
you. I got you, Naomi. I got you. I understand where you're coming from.
It's just,
Because
I don't like when people, okay, you know me and my T-chart analogy. Pros and cons on one side, wants and haves. No, pros and cons on one side. No, pros on one side, cons on the other. Wants on one side, haves on the other. Another concept I'm trying to bring into the ether. There's your problem and not your problem. And I need you, this is ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, create that T-chart in your head and make sure that you are acutely aware as to what's on your problem list and what's on not your problem. And
there's a
I
circle,
encourage
isn't
people
there?
that people that are alcoholics, people that can't manage their emotions are not your problem. Stop making stuff that's not your problem your problem. I know
There's a book
sometimes it's
called
not that easy when kids are involved and stuff, but if you have the ability to be able to do that, make sure that you're not making that type of stuff your problem.
There's a book called The Courage to be Disliked, and it's like, that's not my task. That's not my task. In pretty much what you've just said then, Doug, is like you have to really assess whether what is happening, the story that's being created now, is that my task? And a lot of the time we find that we take on other people's tasks as our own, and that's where then the problem lies, because we're taking on all these tasks that are not ours. And when I'm say task, I don't mean like physical task. It could be like you just like,
I'm gonna change him. This task.
yeah, like it's or it's like, he's complaining about something that is his problem, his story, and you just may have to just listen and not take it on as your task, because it's not my task.
I agree. Listen, or the best thing you can do. Remember, another concept. Another push. Acknowledge what the person said. Acknowledge their quote unquote trauma, trauma. But you got to tell them ask them, what are you going to do about it now? Because the work starts when they ask themselves questions and start trying to figure out the answer to that question. Acknowledging how you got here is not work. Acceptance of how you got here is not work. Figuring out what you're going to do about it is the work.
Yeah, because we love to hold on to attachments to the story of the past, but it's not. It's literally just a story. It's a story in your head. I get that the facts are the facts, but everything around it is just a story that we've created, and we've held on to this attachment to the story, which is what people then call trauma. And then we live through that, and it's like, it's a story. If you remove all the story around it and just look at, if that was a fact, this happened, that happened, okay, but is it happening today? No. So it's not reality.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just a story.
Let's there's only like 2 minutes, like what, less than a minute left of this video, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So let's listen to the last minute of this so we can end the stream on the subject. Remember, we're talking about women who don't want to have kids because it costs too much money.
A lot of nieces, nephews. Do you give them extra gifts on Christmas so they know that
So
when I get
they're talking. This lady is asking, what are you gonna do if you're single without children when you get older?
older, y'all gotta help me out.
Can I, Layla, that is the one thing that always stuck in my mind until I started to see something happening. I have a slew of friends who are separated from their adult children, estranged from their adult children, relationships ruined. I will say this. Having kids is not a guarantee that someone will be there to take care of you. So to answer your question, stacking money, making sure savings are in place, and having a plan for my health care if something should go awry.
I agree.
All right.
I like that.
That's why, Doug.
Thank you for joining us here.
Wait, hold on, real quick.
The Factor Uncensored.
That's why.
Hold on.
Fascinating and interesting conversation, and we appreciate your time.
Okay, go ahead, Kenford.
That's the biggest simp, man. Where you get this dude from?
I hate that guy, dude. I hate him. I can't stand him. Dennis Sperling has been on his stream a couple times, and Dennis Sperling has lit him up, dude. Lit him up. So I might have to do a live stream where I cover where the great Dennis Sperling lights up freaking Isaiah Carey, the simp. But I'm just gonna go around, do for final thoughts. Naomi, try and give us, just sum up, about this concept, about the copium with women not having children. Just summarize what you think about it, and then shout out your social media, please.
So in summary, I think that we shouldn't deny our innate nature as women, and having children is a complete blessing, and we shouldn't lie to ourselves. So my social media is, what is my social media? N_Alexander87, and my YouTube is I Know Me Naomi.
Okay, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat here.
I seen you a couple times. Well, Naomi.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I seen you on the man named Voice and just just
I'm the baby
politics.
mama.
Yeah. Me telling you about your baby mom and just politics too. So
sum up your idea about this whole thing, and I don't know if you're on social media or anything else. Shout out anything you want to shout out. If you don't, let's go too. But just give us a summation as to what you think about this whole, women not wanting to have kids because it's too expensive.
Doug, mine gonna be crazy. Yeah, here I go. All the single women who don't want to have kids, New York is waiting for you guys. It's a nice city, and we love you. We love you. We'll take care of you. So just come in, and we will welcome you with full open and wide arms.
Yeah.
Get your 900 without children.
Huh?
Get your $950,000 condo.
Is this single women without children?
Yeah, all the single women with all kids who hear in the stream. And it's hard out there for you to get a man. Here, I give you something. Make a plan, come up with some good strategies, and enter New York. We love you here.
Mm-hmm. Because New York loves people that spend money, and no one spends more than, the average professional woman in the United States spends more on consumer goods than the average family of four. Yeah.
Welcome to the bottomless pit.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up because we're almost at 3 hours. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you're watching this afterwards, like the video, subscribe to the channel, or Kenford is going to try to convince you to move to the bottomless pit.
Thank you, Doug. It's been amazing.
Naomi, you are a treasure and a jewel. I love all the time that we get to spend talking together. Kenford has been in Pearl's chat forever, and him and I finally communicated outside the chat.
Doug, I usually ruthless in the chat,
I was gonna say, I wonder how many mean things you've said about me, Ken.
No, Kenford? I don't.
Yeah.
Kenford keeps it very, very positive, which is why they tossed Kenford a wrench in
Oh,
Pearl's
really?
cat. Yeah. So, but I last stream, Naomi, on Pearl's channel, that they had that body positivity thing. I was a savage in that chat. Remember, Kenford?
I did actually see. I saw.
The redhead was like, "I see all your haters in the chat, Doug and PA. I see you." That was one of the greatest moments of my mod life. That a red-haired whale would call me out on Pearl's channel.
Yeah, I did watch you. I was like, wow.
I could die a happy man. I could end it all right now, and I wouldn't have to achieve anything else. Yes, I'm telling you, I was savage that stream. Dude, I spent so much money on super chats on that stream.
I see.
So you basically just pay to abuse people. I mean, like it's a bit like OnlyFans at that point.
You know what? I'll take that. Yes, I'll take that.
She was like, "I see you, Doug and PA."
It was so good, man. I jumped out of my chair. I did my little dance. It was great. It was great. Like how you picture that in your mind is how exactly it went with me. I was dancing around. I have it say, I have that part like clipped, and I just it was so good, man. So good. But anyway, I'm letting you two go for the evening. Try to catch the community page for my lives. Thank you for being here, everyone. Chill Vibes, Reggie Gamer, MGTOW Cowboy. Thank you so much for joining me, Naomi, Kenford Julian, and we are out of here. Have a good one.